Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto x Blackfire x Raven x Starfire? Part 1. Huge shout out to Lemon Painter 92 for this story. If you want more awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. Jump City Streets, Wednesday. It is a busy night in the colorful metropolis, a metropolis known as Jump City. People are trying to get home from work, or having a night out with their buddies. The road was crammed with cars for varying reasons, although the dance of cars and people was normal for this city. The buildings are dark in tone, and are all different shapes and sizes. There is also a large bay with a bridge crossing it, which can be seen from many places within the city. What the citizens of the city didn't know, though, was that the every night dance of cars and people was about to be interrupted. Suddenly, a distortion in the middle of the street forces all the cars to swerve away from it, making them crash into others. While some of the civilians were all stood watching the anomaly, some are forced to move, while a number run away from the event. Those that remain, though, see a blur fly out of the anomaly, which then slams into a building, leaving a good, deep hole in it, and kicking up dust so they can't see into the impact zone. The citizens hear a groan coming from the hole, and when the figure climbs out, most of the girls blush. Coming from the hole in the building stands a handsome 18-year-old, olive-skinned male, with cerulean blue eyes. He has very short, spiky blonde hair, and also has 3 whisker marks on each cheek. He wears a knee-length, sleeveless black haori, which is adorned with several orange magatama around the high collar. It has the pattern of the Uzumaki clan crest on the back, and orange magatama along the rim at the bottom of his haori. He also wears black baggy pants, with orange magatama motifs along the sides of them. Underneath all of this, he wears a black full-body suit that covered his whole body except from his head and fingers. In his left hand is a black shakujo that has a ring at one end and smaller rings connected to it, while his right palm has a white circle on it. This is Naruto Uzumaki, the reincarnation of Asura, and container to the 2 halves of the 9-tailed fox, Kurama. Naruto looks around at his new location, taking note of the surrounding buildings, and noticed some of the people were taking photos of him. He looks at them in confusion, before shaking his head, and fully going onto the street so everyone could see him. "Where am I?" he asks out loud. "You're in Jump City, mate." One of the civilians replies. The blonde ninja looked in the direction of the speaker, but couldn't see who spoke, due to the size of the crowd. "Thank you?" Naruto replies back kindly before looking over the crowd more, and using his sensor abilities, he noticed they didn't have chakra. So the people here don't have chakra, but the environment does. Is this the future, or a different world? I'll have to look into this later, but right now, are you a hero or a meanie? Asks a young voice from the crowd, snapping Naruto from his thoughts, and noticing who spoke. It was a 5-year-old girl with blonde hair, brown eyes, and wearing a shirt and pants, both of which were pink. She looks scared at Naruto, but also has confidence, and of course, the curiosity that only a child has. Besides the girl are her parents, and both are in their mid-20s. The father has blue eyes, brown hair, and is very businessman-like in terms of appearance. The mother has brown eyes and blonde hair. She seems to be a teacher in terms of attire. This is also supported by the files under her arm, and the name of a school written onto the files. "I'm a hero," he replies back, getting a smile from her, but also a sigh of relief from the others. "Sweetie, what have we told you about talking to strangers?" The mother of the young girl reprimanded for her daughter's curiosity, before turning to Naruto. "We are sorry, mister." Naruto chuckles lightly. "It's quite alright, ma'am. When I was her age, I was just as curious." "What is your name?" the young girl asks. "It's Uzumaki. What's yours?" Naruto states, and then asks nicely, getting a smile from the girl. Although Naruto didn't reveal his whole name, since he was unsure of this world, and didn't want to reveal it in case he were to become a hero again. "Amelia." "Hello, Amelia," Naruto states, before he looks around with a raised brow before, and as if on cue, his stomach rumbled, prompting his next question. "Are there any places nearby where I can get something to eat?" "Yes, down the road is Pizza Corner. You can't miss it," a better-dressed female told him. She looks like an historian, and well-read, judging by her glasses, neat clothing, and history books under her arms. Naruto looks towards her. "Thank you," he murmurs before heading off down the road, before suddenly stopping after a few steps. Everyone watches as he kneels down and presses a hand against the road. Barely a second passes, and strange black symbols appear on the road where his hand is. The blonde then stands up and looks back at the crowd, before turning to the building he crashed in during his arrival. He places a foot on the wall before running up the side of the building, gaining shocks from everyone. Jump City, rooftops, Wednesday. Once on top of the structure, Naruto looks at the view of the dull, but colorful coastal city and spots an island in the bay. He also picks out a chakra signature in the city, which seemed to appear in one place, disappear very suddenly, and then reappear somewhere else. So there are chakra users on this world. His facial features change from curiosity to an unsure frown. This person's chakra feels dark. It does, Naruto. I think it's demonic, and unbalanced at that. A booming, but familiar voice sounds from within himself. Yankura-mate's good to hear from you. Are you and Ian Kurama alright? We're fine, Naruto, we're waking up now. Naruto smiles softly at the knowledge that his friends are fine. At the end of the Fourth Shinobi World War, the two QBS decided to use Naruto as their vessel, but didn't want to form back together as a single entity as they had been before, although they wouldn't state their reasons to the blonde. One thing that did baffle them, though, was that Naruto was able to pick the two apart just by their voices. Naruto looks at the night sky, noticing how little stars can be seen, not doubt due to the increase in light pollution compared to what he's used to back in Konoha, or any of the large villages back home. He notices a star tracking slowly across the sky. It wasn't a comet since it didn't have a tail, but it wasn't a meteor since it hadn't hit the atmosphere. He raised a brow, picking up a strange source of energy from it, before shaking his head and looking down the road to where Pizza Corner should be. He then jumps from building to building, in order to get some well-needed food. Space, over Earth, Wednesday. Not far away from Earth, with its single moon, and beautiful background sea of stars, a ghastly bronze spaceship in appearance seems to be out for a cruise. Its fuselage is a large rounded disc shape-wise, with a narrow shaft topped by a circular projection standing dead center on the upper surface of the bridge. A number of spikes extend from the diameter on either side, while two larger ones point straight ahead to flank the main gun, which has a blood-red core. Gordanian ship interior, Wednesday. The inside of the ship is just as ghastly as it is on the outside, and seems to be very dark. Abruptly, a door that appeared to be one with the wall opens to expose a dark corridor, with running red lights over a number of cells. Suddenly, the sound of a lingering, subdued, blood-curdling yell echoes throughout the ship. The scream appears to be feminine in tone of voice. Two muscular winged reptilian humanoids with long tails, known as Gordanians, trek into the hallway. Each is armed with a long spear. They are blue in color, with dim golden fins, chest plates, and a helmet that showed their face, and red eyes. The hammering of unsociable fists against the wall joins the scream, with the latter trailing off into a feral growl. The two creatures remain on their night watch, and don't even acknowledge the three glass-fronted holding cells that contain three unique and different creatures in them, but keep pointing forwards, not even sparing a glance. The two looms to a closed door at the far end of the passageway, which opens to reveal two more Gordanians stationed at a steel-fronted cell, and are looking at the door with their spears crossed and ready. The screams are much louder and more intense now, with the connection of fist against wall being much more perceptible, deducing that they are all originating from behind the steel cell. A very livid tenant is locked behind it, and only a small window slot allows visual contact between the two sides. The four Gordanians, now all standing, and waiting for whatever would come through the door, but they are unsure, since they are aware of the person behind it. Will the door hold? One of the aliens asks in a monotone voice. It must! Another one hisses out, displaying the panic in his voice, showing that he secretly believes the door will be broken. The hollering and banging only intensifies, making it seem the prisoner is desperate, but also extremely dangerous. The alien will be delivered on schedule. Lord Trogar has decreed it. Yet another Gordanian states with a sense of conclusiveness, and if this thing gets loose? The first one questions with a hint of disdain directed to the being in the cell. Then Zorg help us all. One mutters after a moment's pause. Another piercing scream sounds from the cell. Soon after, the glass cracks and two scorching, neon green eyes rise into view behind it. The closer two of the four guards take a few steps back because of this, while all are bracing themselves for anything and everything. Their answer came in the form of one last yell that rings out, and not long after the door blows outward off its hinges. The steel panel crashes to the deck, while at the same time the stunned foursome looked at all that remained of the door between them and their former prisoner. They look into the total blackness within the cell, and after what seemed like an eternity or two, the eyes sparked up again and their owner steps out into the light, revealing that it was indeed a girl, and a very beautiful one at that. Coriandar or Starfire of Tamarin is tall, very beautiful, and has a slender, but curvy body that many would kill for. She has long scarlet red hair, and her skin is bright orange. She wears a sleeveless top showing her stomach, a mini skirt and thigh boots that were all black. She also is wearing a belt, and has a silver armor plate on her neck, under which was metal-colored armored undergarments that covered her whole body except her face. She also has a face-framing crown, and armor plates on her shoulders. Her hands and forearms are encased in thick, rigid cuffs that are connected at both ends. She was enraged, and had traces of recent tears down her cheeks. The reason for her being mad is due to a part of the peace treaty between Tamarin and the Citadel. The latter's military had invaded her home planet. She was traded as a slave in order to bring peace to a war-torn Tamarin, and now she was being held by the Gordanians, to be delivered as a slave to the Citadel. The reason she was crying, and feeling even more rage, was due to seeing a planet get glassed, one that looked similar to Gaia, home of the elementals, whom her family and race held a deep and important promise with. But also she had been keeping an eye on a certain blonde individual, whom had saved Gaia during a war, and became the savior of the planet, despite everything bad happening to that person. She had even talked to him a number of times under disguise, not telling him of her nobility and race. She now believed he was dead, and she wanted revenge for the death of her would-be lover. "Zangtha are you Maka? Kek Zangtha roar!" she states menacingly. The enchained warrior lunges forward, charging on while echoing a ferocious roar in her throat. She closes the distance between herself and the four Gordanians very quickly. She hasn't got the advantage when it comes to size, but like they say, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. She swings both forearms in a wild roundhouse style, which smacks one of the reptilian creatures, and knocking him to the wall with a harsh crash. The escaped prisoner swiftly turns around to face two more, and speaks in the same tone of voice. "Zangtha are you Maka? Kek Zangtha roar!" She performs another big swing, which dispatches two more. She spins around, and tries an uppercut against the one left standing. He blocks it however with his javelin, and attempts a counterattack by bashing the staff against her. He gets nowhere with it due to her blocking it, then slipping in a hit that shatters the shaft in two and capitalizes on it with a vicious kick to the head. The now senseless enemy flies back due to the kick, and slams into a control panel on the wall. This act seems to activate the alarms which are noted by the red lights and sirens. The orange-skinned alien looks around, and whispers viciously, "Heskavo." She looks back to the entrance of her cell, noticing a cloaked individual standing in the doorway. "Kakeska and I." The individual is wearing a white, full-length kimono with a pattern of 6 black magatama around the high collar, beneath which he wears a necklace that has 6 black magatama connected to a chain. The high collar also has a hood, which obscures the person's face, preventing Starfire from seeing his face, which seems to be a black mass. On the back of his kimono was a large red Rinnegan-like marking with a pattern of 9 red magatama arranged in 3 rows of 3 beneath it. His hands also have strange features on the palms, a light-colored circle representing Yang in his right palm, and a dark-colored crescent moon representing Yin in his left palm. Coriandar was about to paint the wall with this priest, before he rose a hand signaling that he didn't want to fight, but just talk. He picked up a photo from the floor, which the alien princess must have dropped during her escape. "Here you go, young Tamaranian." He spoke softly, but full of wisdom and power. Coriandar seemed to growl for a moment, before looking at the picture in his grasp. It was all that remained of the boy she had lost on Gaia. While her eyes glowed fiercely, her demeanor had softened, and seemed to be longing for that picture. "Do not let your anger get the best of you. Besides, when you land on the world you're over, a surprise waits for you," he lectured, gaining a nod from Starfire, whom seemed to understand what he said. Her picture then glided to her, and hides away in her boot. Coriandar looks at him, and was about to say something when she heard a bang behind her, causing her to spin around to see that it was nothing. She looked back to where the priest was, whom to her shock had vanished. She also needed to vanish if she was to be free from these slavers. Space, over Earth, Wednesday. A sector of the lower hull blows apart, and not even a second later, the enraged alien blasts out through the smoke and flame. She is making quick work of leaving the area, as she has put a great deal of distance between herself and the Gordanian starship, while making a beeline for Earth. Jump City, backstreets, Wednesday. Sirens wail in the distance, while a figure runs along the path before ducking into an alley. He is carrying a bulging sack in his hand. He looks back toward the mouth of a dark, deserted alley, just in time to see several Rouser mobiles scream past the back street. He eyes the sack of stolen goods smugly, before walking deeper into the alley. Before he can get 10 steps away, though, a shadow passes quickly over him, causing him to suddenly stop. "What's that?" exclaimed the robber. During this, he pulls out a crowbar and displays it apprehensively with his free hand. He looks around, trying to find the source of the shadow in the air above him. Suddenly, a birdarang flashes down from the rooftops, which connects to the burglar's armament, forcing him to lose his hold on the crowbar. The criminal backs up nervously, due to the new, and currently invisible, involvement. "I don't want trouble, okay?" He got a dose of trouble though, first with a fleet of large bats, flying straight at him and squeaking along the way. He threw his arms up to protect his face, causing him to drop the loot. He stands his ground as they flap past. However, the main course was about to come. Any thought of an action was shattered by a voice echoing from the shadows. "You should have thought of that before you committed the crime." The owner of the voice came from the darkness as the owner stepped into the light. He wears an outfit consisting of green tights with black boots, green gloves, short-sleeved green shirt under a red armored vest with a yellow R over his left chest, a yellow belt and a black cape with a yellow inside. He wears a black and white domino mask, has black spiked back hair, light skin, and a slim athletic build. This is Richard Beep Grayson, whose alias is Robin. He advances towards him, and jumps. He sends a high kick that connects to the chin, and forces the thief back a number of yards. The man rushes back toward the interloper, causing Robin to back up a bit, and to block the wild punches arcing toward his head by the enemy, before he delivers a chop to the midsection to the criminal and kicking him in the chest. The boy wonder does not let him rest. He jumps to a wall, and pushes away from it for a boost towards the villain. This move carries him over the criminal's shoulders, and he grabs them for a rock-hard body slam, which knocks the wind out of the floored corrupted person. Robin doesn't let up, as he drags the human punching bag up off the ground and heaves him into the wall, where he slides down, barely conscious. The burglar looks up, noticing who had thrashed him so easily, and was in so much shock he seemed to brush off his beating. "Hey! This isn't your town. Aren't you supposed to be with?" Robin interrupts him as he moves closer to the human punching bag. "Just moved here. And from now on I work alone." Robin is talking about the end of his partnership with Batman, who trained him as a crime fighter, and partly raised him due to a tragedy in the young man's past. The sound of something whooshing overhead draws his attention away from the beatdown he just gave. He looks into the sky to see a bright green streak slicing through the starry sky above the buildings. It traces a straight path corresponding to the alley and vanishes behind the buildings on the far side of the street. Not long after its disappearance due to the urban jungle, a subdued eruption is heard and a pale emerald dust cloud streams up from the impact zone. Robin's masked eyes narrow for a moment at the event, before he casts his eyes back to the collapsed petty thief. He then ties up the burglar and hangs him upside down. After that, Robin hoists himself over a wall at the dead end and heads to the impact zone. Jump City, Pizza Corner Restaurant, Wednesday. Just before the impact, Naruto was sat enjoying pizza and fries. He was situated on the upper level and is sat alone next to a large wooden table, with a larger red umbrella, and chairs orbiting the table. Naruto took his time to look around the upper level and the rest of Pizza Corner, with its most notable feature being in the shape of a pizza slice, with the door on the upper level towards the back. Both upper and lower levels were roomy, with the lower having a number of open windows. The structure was made from a number of materials like the high-rising buildings around it. It had a large billboard above the establishment with the word pizza, placed into white rectangles, which are under two smaller and different-colored rectangles. He knew he was going to have to learn a great deal about this planet. He was already prepared for this. He managed to get the locations of the libraries in Jump City from one of the people in the restaurant, before moving to a more secluded area, and used shadow clone jutsu so he could learn things much faster, while enjoying the sights and this meal. The one thing he wasn't enjoying, though, was the amount of people looking at him, or taking photos. But something else was bothering him, a strange gut feeling, the feeling of something very important and life-altering about to happen. Both Kuramas were also feeling it, and that didn't help the blonde at all. Naruto noticed the chakra source from before had moved, and this time it was nearby, on the same street in fact, but was not elevated like he was, indicating that this other user was on the street below. He also was able to find other chakra users, but none were close to the levels that the demonic chakra user or he has. What he didn't know was that this person had the ability to read minds, was tuning in to learn as much about him as possible, but was also listening in on his secret conversation. I'm guessing that chakra user who is following me is a sensor, and is seeing if we're a threat, or if we can teach them. Naruto ponders during his slow meal, knowing the active guests inside him would be listening to him, and would comment on matter. I'm not sure, Naruto, but be careful. We don't know anything about this planet, but the presence of this lone chakra user is confusing me. Kurama replied to its vessel, also trying to work out this unknown person. Naruto looks around for a clock. He notices a brass clock on a tower not far from him. The time instrument appears to be working, and is showing the current time, which is 23:30. How did the tale go again? Both Kuramas, from what old man Hashirama told us about the origins of chakra. Around 1,000 years ago our home world was a different place. Constant wars plagued the land. Kaguya and the Otsutsuki clan came from a far-off planet to live on the moon, while Kaguya herself came down to rid the world of wars and sadness. The only way Kaguya could do it was through the God Tree, better known as Shinju, where the source of all chakra on our world was contained. She ate the fruit from the tree, gained unrivaled power, and then brought world peace. She would later give birth to 2 kids, Hashirama and Hamura. Both could use chakra easily. However, at some point something appeared, the bastard called Trigon. She and her sons fought the terrible creature valiantly, altering the landscape in their conflict. Before his defeat, however, he used his powers to control Kaguya, and turn her on her sons. She merged with the Shinju, became the 10 Tails, and fought Hashirama and Hamura. The 10 Tails was defeated, and then sealed in Hashirama, as you know. He would then create the current tailed beasts, as you know, before the old man's death, and sealed the body of the 10 Tails in the moon. He also used what was left of his powers to send a load chakra into a different dimension, known as Azarath, which is the place where Trigon was sealed after their fighting with him. Kyubi breathed loudly after its explanation of the early years. So when we fought Kaguya, she was still under his control? Naruto speculated, since he had fought her, and won. However, something had been bugging Naruto about that fight. This time Kurama replied to him in place of the young half. Yes, while she was very powerful, her will wasn't strong enough due to being corrupted by her own powers. Hashirama's and Hamura's separate wills were strong enough to not be controlled. What's on your mind now? The demonic Fox suddenly asked, quickly noticing that Naruto had something else on his mind as well. It's the fight against Kaguya that felt wrong when I look back on it now. During the fight I noticed she tried fighting someone else's control. I thought she was trying to fight Black Setsu's. But now I think she was fighting this bastard known as Trigon. If anything, he's the one to blame for everything that happened on our world. I think I know why Kaguya tried to bring herself back, not to control the world, but to prepare it for whenever Trigon appeared again. Sorry, I'm just trying to think about Kaguya's motive. It's alright, Naruto. Kurama replied to Naruto, clearly impressed with Naruto's thoughts regarding that epic fight. Naruto did bring up some interesting points though, and would need time to figure out its own reply to that. In the meantime, Kurama continued on its original conversation. After the fight, Hamura created the Uchiha clan, before moving to our moon where the Otsutsuki race, or clan, had set up camp. However, the fox seemed to stop talking, but was more hesitant than willing to stop. What? Naruto, there is something you should know. Before the old man created us, our planet was visited by another alien race of feline warriors whom came from a planet called Tamarin. The race was known as Tamaranian. They were from the Vega star system. Members of their royal family met Hashirama and his younger son Azura. Indra wasn't there since he had gone off on his own due to the old man picking Azura as his successor. The visitors wished to form a friendship between them and us, allowing our planet to be protected by them. So they created a contract that in 1,000 years from their meeting, the Tamaranians would return, and would ally with our planet. However, the aliens added a marriage requirement, stating that a member of the royal family of Tamarin and a member of Azura's family would marry to completely fulfill the contract. The Yin demon inside Naruto explained, not knowing how Naruto will take this. Okay, well, I know I'm connected to Azura's family line due to him creating the Senju and Uzumaki clans. I'm the last male Uzumaki left, Karen is the last female, while Tsunade is the last female Senju. I'm also Azura's reincarnation, so this marriage could include me and an alien princess, pretty much. The Yan half answered, with both halves slightly surprised at how easily their vessel seems to be handling the new news. Naruto sighs loudly, rubs the bridge of his nose, and mutters, "Brilliant, absolutely funking perfect. I may end up being forced to marry someone that I never even knew existed until just now. Getting married for a sick sense of duty. I need some heavy sake. At least she would be better than the females from your world," stated the Een Kurama in a matter-of-fact tone. Not all of them were bad, but I would like to know her first. How would I break this to Coriandar from our home world if I see her again? He ponders dejectedly, wondering if he'd be able to break it to the girl in question again since she vanished about a year ago. Keep them both. Both foxes said in a teasing and perverted manner. Before a red-faced Naruto could even respond to his friends, his powerful ears catch a whooshing sound causing him to look across the skyline, and noticing a green streak, which crashes next to the establishment. An explosion thundered from the street below, and green haze rises from the impact area. This gets Naruto on his feet right away. He looks over the barrier that stops people from falling off the restaurant, planning on jumping in and dealing with whatever caused the explosion if it starts to hurt the citizens. He notices the glowing green smoke obscuring the impactor. Soon a figure comes out of the smoke as it dissipates over time. Jump City streets, Wednesday. Several curious onlookers have stopped their cars and gotten out for a better look. The thick smoke disperses to reveal Starfire at the center of the rubble, her face showing hostility, and her eyes burning with untamed fury. "Slop for an Ivert mat!" The enraged alien shouted as she slides down the slabs and advances to the civilians, scaring off the less confident ones. "Whoa!" came from a male member crowd. "Slopforn! On Gudshik Zerol!" She growls at a young man trying to hold his camera straight to take a picture of her. What the person didn't take into account was when the shutter clicked, the flash went off. The alien recoiled from the glare with eyes squeezed shut. A moment later, she reopens them, still blazing as strongly as ever, and starts swinging her arms with a fresh, but still incensed, yell. Jump City, Pizza Corner Restaurant, Wednesday. Naruto could only glare blankly at the stupid citizen who had set the street destroyer off with his camera. "Oh, for Kami's sake," he complained as most of the crowd on the street backed up further away from the alien girl, who then pounds the pavement hard enough to leave yet another crater in it. This act causes everyone to break for cover, all except the people on the pizza corner roof, including Naruto. She has got some impressive strength, even Sakura and Tsunade would be jealous, since they need to add energy to their punches, to make them as powerful as they are, while she seems to just be using natural strength. The Een Fox complimented, knowing how jealous Sakura would be due to this person's strength. Naruto nods as he sees the newcomer smash her shackled arms into a taxi, rendering it fit for the scrapyard with a single blow. He whistles in awe. Other strikes ruins a bank of payphones, a bench, and a street light or two. Several pizza joint customers stare from the relative safety of the second-floor balcony beside Naruto, as it trembles under their feet, although Naruto doesn't bother with the vibrations, and isn't fazed by them. When the display finally stops, the stunning alien walks quietly amid the havoc she has just wreaked in this end of Jump City. Naruto notices she stops, before lifting her arms, and straining to pull apart the shackles, but with no luck. She's not emitting any malicious intent, but was simply trying to get free of those enormous cuffs. Naruto thought, using his ability to detect negative emotions. Zapiarkma sniff. Naruto hears the visitor speak, clearly not being able to understand what it means. He also doesn't get much help from the conscious-tailed beasts on the matter. After a moment's rest though, Naruto notices she looks toward the front door of the pizza joint, more specifically, the pillar that's supporting the leading tip of the balcony. Naruto sees that she's about to hurl herself at the support, and if she does hit it hard like she did the street, the people on the balcony would be in serious trouble. The visitor jumps, hoping to free herself from the cuffs. "Oh no you don't!" he shouts, before the spectators at the railing watch him jump over the edge. knowing that he will stop the female from doing damage to the building they were on. Jump City Streets, Wednesday. Back to ground level, the alien looms ever closer to the pillar, ready to damage it in sheer determination to free herself or die trying. However, something connects to her cuffs during mid-swing, and it isn't the pillar. She notices what's slowed down, then stopped her flight, which to her surprise is a thin black shakujo that has a ring at one end and smaller rings connected to the larger ring. She looks at the person who held the weapon and is scarcely able to contain a blush on her face, but also releases a barely readable gasp. It was him, the person in her photo, the one who she had spent time with on Gaia before she was taken. Sure, he looked slightly different now since it had been a long time, but she could tell it was him with those bright blue eyes and those whiskers. How was he here though? Did that priest she encountered have something to do with it? Since he did let on that he knew something, as he had explained to her that a surprise waited for her on the planet. Was this the surprise he informed her about? Her thoughts on the matter are halted when Naruto pushes her back down the street to where she originally jumped from, creating distance between them. Naruto looks at her, as his shakujo remains strong surprisingly. He was slightly shocked at how strong she was since he really had to hold his ground when he stopped her hit, but even then, he was still pushed back a few meters. She's as strong as, or stronger than, I am? I'll have to be careful here. Coriandar glares back toward Naruto with a threatening little growl and a pair of eyes that could double as lighthouse beacons for their brightness. She then throws Naruto a malicious little smile, while working her head around to loosen up her neck. Zota. She now wanted to test him. Naruto, on the other hand, is preparing for what will be a hard fight, on unknown grounds, and against an unknown enemy. But he wasn't known as the unpredictable ninja, or the war hero of his world for nothing. But first, Naruto would test how well trained she is in the art of hand-to-hand combat, or taijutsu, before bringing in the big guns in his arsenal. Naruto jumps forward with a chakra-enhanced leap, while at the same time Starfire performs a leap that carries her all the way across the street to him. Both meeting in the middle, Coriandar brings her right leg across in a sweeping motion, hoping to hit his midsection and dispatch him quickly. She executes, but fails due to his flexibility, leading her to bring her shackled arms downward in an asphalt-wrecking swing, causing her to destroy more of the street. Naruto barely moves out of the way. He brings his right leg up for a high kick, but she does the same thing, and both their right legs connect. Naruto grits his teeth in pain, now knowing that she is stronger than his base form, making him rethink his plan. He quickly drops his leg under hers and spins around. He gains momentum as he brings his right leg up again to kick her away. She brings her arms up to block it, but is kicked to the side a few meters due to the thrust he had gained in his spin. He then punches her hard across the face, causing her to recoil back from the hit, sending her back a meter or two. Coriandar, as Naruto moves to attack her again, swings her still joined hands at him, hitting the blonde in the left arm and left side. The psychical strength of the alien was higher than his, and that strength sent Naruto into a nearby parked car, making the blonde wince in pain. The blonde pulls himself out of the now wrecked car, before he quickly appears in front of the orange-skinned teen, and kicks her in the midsection, using his velocity to increase the power of his strikes. His strike sent her partway down the road, causing a skid mark-like impact in the tarmac, due to her body hitting the ground. The blonde hero jumps, and lands on a car to gain some time to enter into Sage mode. Hopefully that will help him, as he didn't want to reveal his other forms, at least not yet. Coriandar is quick to capitalize on his pausing, by leaping across the street over to him, and bringing her shackled arms to the roof of the car. As Naruto bolts out of the way to dodge the attack, a birdarang spins into the scene, and hits the crown on the alien female's head, causing her to suddenly deviate in mid-flight, and hit the ground next to the car. Naruto lands not far from the person who threw the weapon. Naruto looks over to see who it was. Interesting. The person in question was currently standing on the roof of a parked car. The domino mask wearer who arrived must be the Deadeye that stopped the alien visitor in her tracks. His arms are tucked into his cape, which is draped around his shoulders. The teen throws the cape back, showing how brightly dressed he was, and braces for action. Who are you? Robin is forced to jump clear, and in the nick of time too, as the car he was on was reduced to paste by the growling alien. He touches down in a backward skid, but one roundhouse-like swing after another forces him to keep bobbing and weaving. Naruto meanwhile sits down in his own meditative state to start calling on the powers of Sage Mode and Senjutsu. As he's drawing in natural energy, the fracas works its way down the street. In the mouth of an alley, a cloaked figure stands with its hood up, preventing anyone from seeing its face. The figure watches Robin leap high over Starfire, who then slings a handful of grenades at the invader. They quickly explode in her face. The person watching is a pretty female. She wears a dark blue cloak that prevented anyone to see under it. The cloak, as stated before, also had a hood, which she wore so you couldn't see much of her head. From what you could see, is that she has ash-gray skin and violet-colored irises. On her cloak, she has a circular black/red jewel set in a gold plate that attaches the whole thing together. Her real name is Rachel Roth, but she goes by the alias of Raven. Her impassive face is barely visible in the alley's shadows. Raven quickly cuts her eyes to Naruto, the one who she had been following ever since he arrived in the city. It took a while to find the real one since he duplicated himself a few hundred times. Her eyes widen at what he's doing. He's drawing in nature energy, but also his chakra levels were rising and getting more potent. She's shocked at someone else having the same energy as her, but being able to control it like it's nothing. This makes her somewhat jealous, but quickly quashes the emotion and watches him as his eyelids take on orange colorations. When his eyes open, his eyes are yellow and have a toad-like pupil, unlike before when his eyes were blue. She raises an eyebrow at this while the blonde stands up. With Robin and Coriandar though, the smoke from Robin's grenades don't quite hide the radiant green pinpoints of the warrior within it. The cloud evaporates to expose her fully. Robin's eyes suddenly bug out in surprise and he gasps. The reason why he's in shock is because Starfire is hooking one foot under the chassis of a nearby car. She effortlessly kicks it up several feet so that it rotates to point its nose toward the ground. When it is an inch short of splattering its innards across 20 yards of tarmac, she boots it toward Robin. Robin then drops himself flat to the floor to avoid catching it with his face. That wasn't needed as the car splits in half down the middle, causing both sides to pass by him. One of the car pieces sail in a low, lightning-fast flight into the building next to them and explodes against it, while the other lands down the street near the far-end building. The reason why it split is standing in front of Robin, causing the masked hero to look up to see Naruto, whose Shakujo has razor-sharp chakra/energy around it, which must have been brought down in a slashing motion to split the car, as the road also had a deep cut in it. Stronger than she looks. Robin mutters to himself as he stands up, loud enough for Naruto to hear though, who at the same time moves to stand next to Robin as the energy around his staff fades away. The boy wonder also notices Naruto's eyes, and raises a brow, before looking back at the unidentified female alien warrior. She is stronger physically, and Naruto suddenly stopped, as the alien princess was suddenly upon them, and watched as the boy wonder was pasted hard across the jaw, causing him to skid all the way to the pizza joint. Kami, damn it. Naruto comments as he jumps back. Before running and jumping forward to kick her, she dodges to the side and swings her arms to him. Naruto catches the swing with his hand in midair, and pushes back so he can land. He does land, but quickly has to dodge a kick from the girl. He grabs her leg and headbutts her. This action hurts both of them. She brings the cuffs to her head in an unsuccessful attempt to soothe her forehead, while Naruto had let go of her leg to ease his own forehead pain. The blonde war hero then gets sledgehammered hard across the jaw, causing him to land on the floor. He gets up on a knee, and looks up, to see the angry female stand over him. He hastily primes a large raisin gun, and slams it into her stomach as she's about to bring her arms down to scatter his brains across the pavement. The attack grinds into her, and the force of the attack sends her across the street, and into a building with a thunderous crash, kicking up clouds of dust in the process. "Are you alright, Naruto?" Kurama shouts in slight concern, knowing that the hit he received not so long ago definitely hurt him. "I'm fine. I guess I'm not at full power after the trip here, huh?" "No, you are not," Kurama replied irritably, which isn't directed at Naruto somewhat, but at the fact that the beasts themselves aren't at full power also, with the somewhat being Naruto rushing into another fight. At the same time, Coriandar climbs out of the now dust-free rubble her body caused. There is damage to the armor on the stomach area due to Naruto's attack. She is about to stalk up to Naruto once more, but her act is curtailed, due to a long fighting staff suddenly slamming against alien female's head, which propels her into a parked car 60 yards away. Robin steps up close to Naruto, and he brandishes the staff again. But it unexpectedly deteriorates into dust in his hands. Damn it, Coriandar comes in for another jumping strike. Before she can reduce the boy Wonder Skull to powder and defeat the now Naruto though, a green bighorn sheep springs into view and rams her at full speed, causing her to go down the street next to a bus. The creature transforms into a human form and salutes Robin. He is male but a very unique one at that. He is skinny, and wears a black and purple jumpsuit and boots with silver gloves and a silver belt. He also wears a mask, but it doesn't really do much as you can still see his green skin and darker shade of green eyes. He has fangs and sharp ears. This is Garfield Logan, better known as Beast Boy. Ex-Doom Patrol member Beast Boy, sirs. How can I help? His eyes suddenly widen in awe. Holy shit. You're Robin, aren't you, sir? He let the salute slip in his excitement, but quickly reestablishes it. Well, you can start by not calling me sir. Robin replies to the newcomer with calm, but slightly emotionless voice. That was a mistake on Robin's part, as the green youth's eyes have again gone as wide as saucers and are now shining with the largest amount of reverence. So much so that sparkles hover around his smiling face, and that his hand is still plastered to his eyebrow. Naruto could only deadpan at the display, and he isn't the only one as the demonic foxes inside him are also deadpanning at the scene. Well, let me just say that it's a real honor to be Beast Boy, was it? Interrupted Robin, due to the situation that himself, Naruto, and now Beast Boy was a part of. Yes, sir, Naruto and Robin pointed down the street to Starfire, who has since recovered from the bighorn charge that the shapeshifter dealt, and is straining to lift a bus over her head. Wow! Beast Boy cries in shock. Wow! Robin commented, although he wasn't really as surprised as the green altered human. Wow! Naruto stated in respect. Wow indeed. Came both the foxes residing inside Naruto with a complimentary tone. While Naruto heard the foxes comment on the matter, the other boys didn't. Coriandar slings the bus toward the three boys. The two native boys bolt in opposite directions with Naruto dropping quickly to the deck where he was. A broad figure in a gray hooded sweatshirt and black pants appears where they stood as the bus hurtles squarely into his face. Instead of being flattened into a pancake, the unknown ally catches it and digs in as the flying bus is slowly but surely brought to a stop. The stranger holds the bus up by the bumper, but you could see some of the person, allowing enough detail to create a positive ID. Although the dark gray sweatshirt's raised hood casts the top half of the face in shadow, the dark skin and glowing red left eye gives it away as Vic Stone, also known as Cyborg. He then swiftly dumps the bus off to one side, throwing up plumes of dust that quickly clear to fully revealing the rest of him, like the black gloves and black pants he wears. Naruto did not care what color he was, or the fact that one of his eyes was a solid red and the other eye had a dark blue iris. He could get along well with most people, and this newcomer looked like a badass. But Naruto had to deal with something that had been bugging him since the start of this mess. Yo! Who here is messing up my neighborhood? He shouted out, clearly not impressed with what's happened in his neighborhood. Beast Boy slides up to him and points to where the alien is. She started it. Before looking himself, and seeing that the blonde-haired boy was much further from them, and a few meters from her, Robin, Beast Boy, and Cyborg run to back up the unnamed blonde hero helping them, but get barely 10 yards down the street before a gargantuan black energy barrier springs up to stop them in the form of a screeching bird. Another wisp rises from the sidewalk behind them and resolves into Raven, not that they know her name yet. Maybe fighting isn't the answer. She offers in an impassive voice in the form of a statement, and not a question. The three boys turn toward her as she glances off to one side and dispels the apparition, leaving them with a clear view of Coriandar and Naruto, who seem to be in a staring contest at a distance from each other, with the latter being tense. Starfire stands amid the debris of the street before walking up after a moment's pause. She now stands in front of Naruto looking straight at him with her glowing eyes. She then does something unexpected. She lifts the shackled cuffs up, but not in a threatening manner, to Naruto. Back with the others, they look on at the scene with mixed expressions. Before two of the three boys could do anything, the boy Wonder takes control of the situation. Stand down. Who do you think are, the boss or something? Cyborg complained, clearly wanting to do something, and being bossed around was one of the things he didn't want as he wanted to protect the city by his own accord, and not anyone else's. Just give him a chance. Robin retorted, knowing how strong the blonde was, but also how strong the alien was. If the blonde weren't here, he would have had a much harder time dealing with this. I do need to talk to him after this, maybe he could help me, were the thoughts of the caped crusader as she kept her eye on Naruto. After all, hearing all his conversation with the creatures inside him shook her up. The story of the sage and his family, the origins of chakra, the bastard known as Trigon, and when they mentioned the place where she was born, that got her attention even more. She needed to talk to him, and maybe he could join her in her own battles, if not, train her using chakra and other areas. With Coriandar and Naruto though, our blonde hero seemed to be looking at her facial features, most notably the eyes, as they were not glowing anymore, allowing him to see her jade green eyes and light green sclera. Her demeanor had changed from the angry and destructive force of nature moments earlier, to what seems to be sadness, longing, and wondering. Gakta Zero Naruto, I can free you, but you must not move. I do hope you can understand me, Naruto says to her, not knowing if she can understand him, but continues with his way of freeing her. He places the shakujo on the floor just before he wills a scroll from a seal on his right arm. He grabs it, unwraps the scroll and lays it out on the road, showing many different seal arrays. He puts the shakujo on an empty part. It explodes in smoke, before showing a seal array where it once was. He then places a hand over another seal array, and a cloud of smoke erupts from it, and a picklock appears over the faded seal. He gets the lock picker, and starts putting it to use, but not in a way that most people would have done it. He sends Kurama's chakra down through the picklock and into the cuffs to erode them away, but not harm the girl while doing so. The others were watching the whole ordeal take place, and were somewhat surprised at what the blonde did and could do, none more so than Raven. However, Beast Boy spoke, hoping that the others could tell him something. What is he doing? I don't know, but he seems to be corroding the cuffs with his picklock. Robin responded, clearly surprised with this, but wondered how he was doing it. After a few seconds of corroding with the red chakra, the shackles broke apart and crashed down between the two pairs of feet. Coriandar massages her freed wrists thankfully before looking at Naruto again as the red chakra bubbles away just before he puts the picklock back into the scroll, and then the scroll back into the seal on his right arm in a puff of smoke. You're free now then, why was you? He gets no further, as she drags him to herself with one hand and kisses him passionately on the lips, causing his and the other's eyes to widen in shock. Her eyes have stayed closed throughout the embrace, and she has a small blush on her face. She opens her eyes again and slowly pulls back from Naruto, who was blushing during and after she took his breath away. What did you do that for? Naruto questioned in shock, as he was not used to being kissed, but a stranger who he had just fought against had just kissed him. That was an even more bizarre experience. It is enjoyable to see you again, Naruto Uzumaki, she suddenly says in near-perfect English, having instantly learned it via the kiss due to her race's ability to assimilate languages. Or did she learn it from a different moment in time? 1,000 thoughts rushed through Naruto as he seemed to blink for a moment. His sage mode seemed to fade at the same moment, his eyes returning to normal at the same time as the orange around his eyes vanished. How can you speak elemental when you was speaking a different language a while back? Naruto would have continued, but he seemed to remember what she had said. Wait, how in Kami's name do you who I am? He exclaims anxiously. Robin, Beast Boy, Raven, and Cyborg, similarly perplexed, assemble behind him, wanting to know more about the situation, the new visitors, how she can understand him, and how she apparently knows him. I know you quite well. Naruto also know me very well until a year ago, when I was taken as prize by the Gordanians to be taken to the Citadel to live out my days as a servant. And the Citadel is? Raven interrupted, while wanting to know more about the blonde, wanted to know about how the alien girl ended up in this situation. The Citadel is not nice, the visitor stated in a somber tone, and seemed to be more withdrawn when she spoke. I'm guessing that those are the Gordanians? Cyborg questions, as he looks to the sky and sees an unpleasant-looking ship hovering over Jump City. It casts a giant shadow across most of the city as it tracks across the sky before floating over to the island in the bay. It then launched a large probe to the island, where it glowed, and created a large hologram that could be seen for miles. It was a Gordanian, but one with a crown built into his helmet. People of Earth, we come to your planet hunting an escaped prisoner, a very dangerous prisoner. Do not interfere and we will leave your city with only minimal damage. But if you attempt to assist her, your destruction will be absolute. It announces in a loud, harsh and distorted voice. The probe seemed to open up to show a hangar filled with hundreds of Gordanians. The fleet of aliens suddenly take off from the opening, all heading for Jump City. Naruto seems to scoff at the threat, clearly not intimidated by a weakling who hides behind his men and a fake image. Another army against Mahal Fun, he states sarcastically. Those are some scary-looking aliens. Came the curious and brave voice of Beast Boy. They told us not to interfere, commented the hooded female as she and the others noticed the hunters fly across the water to the city. Cyborg looks over to Coriandar, then to Robin. Are we really going to get involved? Do you need my help too? Asks Beast Boy enthusiastically. Robin smirks before addressing them. I suppose I could team up. Just this once. What about you, Whiskers? The cybernetic human asked the war hero. Naruto looks at the man, trying to ignore the nickname he just got, as his calm and straight lips are replaced by a fox-like grin, one that makes the two QBs smirk with pride. Let's do this. As the others turn to walk away, Raven stays behind looking at the group, before looking down in sadness. Are you in? Came the voice of Robin, knocking Raven from her thoughts. As she looks over to them, Raven turns to the side and looks away. I'm not the hero type, trust me. If you knew what I really am, you wouldn't want me around, she says miserably as she turns her back on them. She would have walked away, but Naruto puts a hand on her shoulder. We know enough. He replies with a soft smile, a smile that Robin also has, as she turns around. Raven seems to smile at him. You are interesting, Naruto, very interesting and warm. Naruto didn't know the thoughts of Raven since he wasn't a mind reader. He was, however, focused on something else. His ability to detect negative emotions was going off the scale. You feel that, right? Yes, Naruto, Gordanians have found you. Heads up, we've got company. Naruto shouts, startling and alerting all of them. Naruto looks down the street to see a large number of the vile aliens. Robin readies his staff for the coming fight. Beast Boy gets ready to transform so he can dish out major damage. Cyborg stands ready, planning on using his enhanced strength to take them down. Starfire readies herself to charge at the aliens who imprisoned her. Raven floats off the ground and prepares to use her powers. Naruto cracks his neck to loosen it up, and is ready to unleash his powers and skills. The defenders rush to the Gordanians and dispatch groups of them at a time. Cyborg brings both hands down in a hammer-like shattering impact on the Gordanian's head, before clotheslining two others. He then quickly jumps forward to engage others. The force of the air against him draws his hood back, showing his face, and a bald head that seems to have silver, white, black and blue-colored armored parts, one of which is the cause of his red eye. Beast Boy had at the same time transformed into a rhinoceros, and took out a heap of aliens in a ramming motion that must have felt like a truck to the receiving extraterrestrials. Coriandar plowed through a number of them with a flying fist, before spin-kicking a number away from her. Robin, on the other hand, was using his second staff of the day against the Gordanians, showing the might of human muscle and power. He then swiftly moves to take out more with some grenades like he has used on Starfire earlier. Raven uses her powers to force the enemies away from her, causing them to slam into cars, the road, and nearby buildings. While doing this, her hood and cloak had been pulled back due to the fighting, allowing others to see what she looks like. She has blue ruffled ankle boots with black soles, with a leotard-like long-sleeved shirt that is blue/black with cuffs at her wrists of the same blue of her cloak. Around her waist she has a red and gold belt with the same jewels around it, and no pants. The belt ties at the back like a cord. Her short hair is also violet, and on her forehead is a red and black bindi. Naruto seems to grow a giant chakra arm and fist of golden flames around his right arm, before swinging it at a clump of Gordanians, eliminating them quickly. He then moves against a clump of aliens with a smirk. Coriandar flies into the air, sending a volley of starbolts to the invaders. Taking some out, she misses too. One attempts to punch her, she dodges and knocks him out with a swift punch, before being knocked down by the Gordanian she missed. She crashes hard into the ground, causing another crater. Before she could get up though, the alien who knocked her down stands above her, preparing to blast her with his staff. Naruto and Robin, who are both battling next to each other, notice her peril, so they double-team a single alien. Robin smacks the giant lizard to Naruto with his staff, and Naruto kicks the alien in the back, sending it to the one standing over Starfire, knocking both away and knocking them out. The alien girl smiles at them before joining in the chaos once more. Cyborg wasn't having the best of times. He was barely keeping his own against this Gordanian, with both fighting for a staff. The alien uses his tail to trip the muscle-bound male over and attempts to blast him. Cyborg rolls out of the way, before using his hands to jump away from more blasts. He lands, but is then bombarded by blue blasts, causing a smoke screen. It soon clears, and reveals Cyborg in all his glory. The scheme of silver, white, black, and blue-colored armored parts continued all over his body, showing that he is indeed a cybernetic human. Whether by choice or not is unknown for now. Cyborg jumps forward and with a single punch, destroying the staff of the alien trying to kill him, before lifting him up and heaving him into a few flying Gordanians, who were all heading towards him. A rain of blue energy balls descend upon him and attempt to destroy him. A green pterodactyl saves the half-metal man from his premature destruction. The group that would have taken the two out was stopped, when a lamppost covered in black energy smacks them away, sending them to the other wounded aliens. Naruto meanwhile slides down the path, before dropping, and spin-kicking the knee out of one of them, before quickly getting up, breaking the staff of another one with a punch, and then kicking him away into a small group. Naruto quickly goes through hand signs. Wind release, air bullets. Air around the blonde condenses into bullets made of wind, before blasting off at incredible speed, impacting the aliens fiercely and subduing them. Naruto is then forced to dodge a blue blast, before teleporting behind the last alien near him in a flash of gold, and slamming his signature swirling chakra ball, known as the Rasengan, into his back, causing the alien to spiral away and crash into a building. The standing aliens suddenly leave, not wanting to continue the losing fight. They take off in the direction of the moon, leaving some of the wounded and unconscious behind. Naruto nods before walking back to the group. "Thank you?" The now nicer alien female states uncertainly to the group. "Ah man, my suit." Cyborg complains after just noticing his attire being destroyed. "So? You look way cooler without it." Beast Boy compliments with a thumbs up. "Take a good long look." "I had an accident, I'm a monster, alright?" "A cyborg." Cyborg retorts angrily, getting into the green male's face. "Cyborg?" Naruto questions mentally from a distance, as he closes the space between him and the group, his super hearing picking up the conversation. "A cyborg, cool. You're like Robot Man too." "Zero." Beast Boy exclaims in awe as he admires the cybernetic male. "You're a weird little dude, you know that. Appearance doesn't mean you're a monster, nor does the family line. What makes you a monster is how you yourself act. I look at you and I don't see a monster. I see a strong individual who has fought to get to where they are now and has survived everything that anyone threw at them." Naruto remarks to the broad male, as he walks next to them, keeping his eyes on Cyborg, not knowing how much he touched the changeling, the machine-human hybrid, an ash-skinned female, with his words. He then turns to Beast Boy. "You might as well lose the cool goofy mask, since we all know what we look like now for the most part." That makes the green teen's eyes widen in surprise. "Goofy? My mask is cool and protects my secret identity, doesn't it?" The answer to his question was the shaking of heads from Cyborg and Raven. "You're green, what secret identity?" She quickly pulls her hood back up to cover most of her face and shadow once more. Beast Boy tries to retort and fails. He sighs, then takes off his mask, allowing others to see his short, messy dark green hair and all of his face. Robin reflects on the more urgent matter as he walks up to them with coriander. "This isn't over. Now that we've interfered." Starfire casts her eyes over the group before they land on Naruto. "I do not know how to tell him about his planet," she thinks, before adding to the boy Wonder's speech and interrupting him. "Trogar will strike harder. It is only a matter of—" She is interrupted as a hologram of the person in question appears again. "Fools! The Earth scum were warned. Your insolence will be punished. Your city shall be destroyed," he shouted in a tone of an enraged deity. His hologram vanishes as his ship takes position in the sky, and seems to charge a bright weapon at the bow, which is aimed at the city. Naruto looks at the ship with a scowl. What a way to end the night for funk's sake. Raven walks into the middle of the group, looking at the imposing enemy ship. "Great," she mutters with a hint of annoyance. The Gordanian ship floats in the sky, ready to fire on any part of Jump City it deems undeserving of existing on the map anymore. From the angle of attack it seems to have the sextet dead in the vessel's scope. So, after trashing a pizza place, several streets and a number of buildings, we've managed to make a humongous space gecko mad enough to vaporize our entire town? Came the voice of Beast Boy in a loud and troubled tone as he looked at the space gecko's ship. "Go team. came the sour comment from Cyborg as he deadpanned at the alien ship. The group, except Naruto and Raven, then exploded in a flurry of arguments between each other. Sparks were flying between Robin's and the alien female's eyes, while Beast Boy and Cyborg were in their own volatile quarrel. Naruto could have sworn the heads of the boy Wonder and Coriandar grew and shrunk in their verbal exchange, much like the strange big head jutsu Irika used in class during Naruto's academy days. Raven, who is standing beside Naruto, began to concentrate as best as she can by this time in a futile attempt to keep a lid on her powers and emotions. Not being able to deal with it anymore, she speaks up. Quiet! Her yell rings in the silent street, and everyone falls silent. The four who are in their squabbles angrily stare her way. For some moments, though, she's quiet before she comes up with any more words. She waves timidly as she speaks. Hi. Naruto waves back with a big, happy smile, and replies. Hello? Raven glances at Naruto and a ghost of a smile appears on her face, before looking back to the group. Look, it doesn't matter how we got into this mess. We're in it, and we will get out of it together, Robin said, taking command of the situation, and leaving the hint that they are the last hope for the city. Coriandar nods in grim agreement, along with Cyborg and Raven. Beast Boy's mouth has curved up into a mischievous smile, while Naruto nods with a serious expression, with a tint of an ill-behaved smirk. Come on! We've got a city to save. Gordanian ship, corridors, Thursday. In a dully lit, metallic corridor on the ship, a large bubble of Raven's black energy rises from the surface and quickly dissipates to expose the 6 heroes within. While some of them seem relaxed, Naruto quickly scans the vicinity with his eyes, nose and ears, to make sure no enemy was near, or toxic gases in the air. While several Gordanians were down the adjacent corridor, there were no toxic gases in the air. The blonde did notice that the next walkway had a wall that was green with a pulsating red light along it. No doubt the energy tubes that power the weapon. Your form of teleportation is pretty awesome, Naruto commented as he beamed a grin towards the dark energy user. Raven in response turned her eyes away from him, glad that she had her hood up so that he, and the others, wouldn't be able to see her blush. Although Naruto could see a tint of a blush due to his improved eyesight, Beast Boy meanwhile shudders noticeably, clearly not being used to the method of transportation used. That dark energy stuff gives me the. His would-be criticism was shattered, as Raven seems to edge closer to him, giving him a marginally irritated frown. Beast Boy quickly sees this, and attempts to correct himself. He beams a broad smile with his thumbs up. I mean it's cool. A nervous little laugh follows this. I have to admit, it was unique. Much different than the ones I've used and been subjected to. Naruto muses, with Raven making a note of that. The Gordanians down the hallway hustle away around 2 different bends, after which Robin pokes his head out from the connecting passageway the team are in. The boy Wonder steps out into the main corridor, and whispers to the others we have to get to the firing controls. There isn't much time. Coriandar is the first out after him, Beast Boy, Naruto, and Cyborg follow. Raven emerges a while after them all but does not follow. Creeping as quietly as he can, the changeling glances back at her over his shoulder before looking forward again as he follows the gang toward the end of the passage. Raven at that closes her eyes and drops her head despondently, as if she has just lost all hope. Mind telling us why you're always by yourself? Cyborg asks her, while indicating to him and Naruto, who's standing next to the metal man. You heard the kid. I don't exactly fit in, replied the goth girl in her normal emotionless voice. The metallic man places his hand on her shoulder. He's green, half of me is metal, and she's from space. I am not sure about Whiskers here though. I'm a shinobi from another planet or time, I'm not sure which it is yet. Besides, Robin over there is wearing a traffic light-like spandex outfit Naruto provided for him, and using his thumb to indicate to the traffic light-like spandex outfit wearer further down the corridor. You'll fit in just fine. Cyborg reassures her with a chuckle, while making a note about Naruto to look into later, and he isn't the only one. The message seems to strike the right chord within Raven, and she allows him to ease her off along the passage after the others with Cyborg and Naruto following. Robin and Starfire stop at another corner further down the corridor. He peeks around to see if there are any hostiles. I bring you, apology for our fight when I landed, came the alien female's voice, causing Robin to turn to face her. Don't worry about it. We didn't know the whole story then, he replies in truth. Coriandar smiles at him, looks back to Naruto and the rest of the gang, before looking back to Robin. And again, you are all nice. On my world, only my Knorfka has shown me such kindness. Well, things are different here, commented Cyborg with a grin. This causes Naruto to smile also. At least the local language isn't that much different to mine. Beast Boy's next words startle them all out of their own observations. Guys? He points past Coriandar and Robin. I think they know we're here. And true enough, in front of the six were the source of his alarm. A squad of troops charge at them, and all are incredibly angry. Naruto, being at the back, turns to face back the way they came, to see another Gordanian that leaps with a screech towards him. Naruto smirks as he primes a Rasengan in his right palm. It's minutes past midnight. Good night. Gordanian ship, bridge, Thursday. On the large, multi-level bridge filled with many officers and consoles, a control panel graph lights up to match the rising power levels of the weapon, showing it's nearly ready. It quickly maxes in capacity, indicating it's a full power. This graph is being viewed by one of the crewmen manning the helm of the bridge on the lowest level. The officer, after adjusting the controls, turns in his seat to address his captain, Lord Trogar. He's obviously directing this to the captain's chair on the highest elevated platform. The back of the chair is facing the crewman. The weapon has reached full power. This gets the captain's attention as the chair begins to swivel around, showing that the captain is Lord Trogar himself, who is seated in it. Then begin the firing sequence. He decrees, sentencing this city, and maybe the world, to destruction. The helmsman does so. Another monitor that displays the schematics of the ship fades away and are replaced by a circle of letterings in the crew's language, with another one at the center. The exterior marks begin to disappear one by one, starting at the top and working counterclockwise. This is no doubt the countdown timer that fires the particle weapon. The Earth scum shall learn. It takes more than 6 juvenile heroes to defy the mighty Lord Trogar. He announces smugly and full of power as he stands from his throne-like captain's chair. He looks out the observation windows at the front of the bridge, in which he could see the weapon's barrel pointing straight ahead. Rings of light flick on from the base of the cannon, and along the chamber to the end. Trogar smiles callously at the destruction he is about to unleash. His dark enjoyment was instantly destroyed, as the door directly behind him is blown inward with terrific force, and a mask of smoke covers the area. It soon clears to show Robin standing tall, and as more of the smoke clears, the others come into view. Cyborg is standing next to the Boy Wonder in a similar fashion, and Beast Boy is crouching but ready for the confrontation. While Starfire, Raven, and Naruto are floating in the air, with the alien princess charging up starbolts in her hands. We're not 6 heroes. We're one team, Robin declares, stating that they are not 6 individuals, but one fully functioning team. Trogar quickly ditches his triumphant smile in preference of an infuriated growl, and in a flash every spare bridge officer is on the move, but Trogar spots Naruto and raises a hand. I know you, Elemental. You're the war hero, Naruto Uzumaki. You know me too? That was a shock to Naruto, but also the other members of the group of young heroes, but they all, except Starfire, were shocked at the war hero section in Trogar's comment. I do, since I destroyed your home planet with this very ship. I made the slave, and your former best friend, Coriandar, here watch it. He states heartlessly and in glee as he watches both Coriandar and Naruto's pained expressions, while the other heroes are in pure shock. At this moment inside Naruto's mindscape, the 2 QBs are wide-eyed, hearing that their world, and their kind was destroyed or endangered. Naruto looks over to Coriandar, hoping that they realized that she was the same girl that he knew on Gaia, and that his world was gone to the ages. She looks over to him with sad eyes and nods grimly. The other members of the team look in pity at Naruto having to discover this from the enemy in this fashion. So that means that you, and the demon you hold within, are the last of their kinds, and I can't wait to make you both extinct. He said jeeringly at the now endangered shinobi and last-tailed beast. Raven looks at the blond boy with wide eyes. He contained a demon inside him, and yet he seemed so normal? Was something different about this demon? She really needed to talk to him now after this was over. Naruto looks down in sadness and sheds a few tears in loss with his home, and all his friends. He closes his eyes for a brief moment, but when he opens them back up to gaze at Trogar again, his pupils are feline slits, but are so narrow, they're almost like needles, and he trembles in rage. I'll weep for my planet later, but as for you trying to make them feel uneasy around me, I don't care, I'll tell them right now. I don't just contain one demonic entity, I contain two, and they are some of the nicest funking people around. I have a new family now, all of which are so unique, and I'll defend them, even if my body turns to dust," Naruto declares with vigor and a fiery passion that seemed unnatural. "You are going down, you smug space gecko bastard." Robin, unknowingly inspired by Naruto, spearheads the charge for the allies and gets in the first hit, a flying kick that nearly snaps a scaly neck. He then jumps to another one and swiftly removing him from the competition, before using his staff to take on the last two near him. He then moves to take some station near a console to the side of the bridge. Cyborg slams both fists to the floor, throwing out a sheet of energy to blast other enemies off their feet, before slugging another Gordanian, a punch that nearly removes the head of the hostile alien, before spearing another alien. Beast Boy bounces into the fray, literally, as a green kangaroo, and kicks two in the gut at full force. He then rapidly turns into a gorilla and pounds another two with ground-shattering hits. He turns back into a marsupial, just in time to kick one Gordanian away and lash another with his heavy tail, before transforming to his base form again. Trogar at that moment descends upon him, smashing both arms against the deck close enough to send him flying backward with a yell. The only thing that stops his momentum is the wall. He slides down it and ends up on the floor in a heap. Coriandar delivers a supercharged uppercut that sends her enemy crashing to the deck. She wasn't about to lose her freedom, not with so much at stake. She fires several starbolts to incapacitate the last of the Gordanians in her immediate area, before punching another Gordanian so hard across the face, it nearly removed its head from its shoulders. The Gordanian lord meanwhile roars and is all set to beat the changeling to a pulp, but Raven pops up from the floor and throws up a small black shield to stop this act. Trogar delivers punch after punch into it, really bringing down the hammer, causing the unique chakra user against the wall and her knees to buckle. He finally breaks through the defense and prepares to flatten them both. Once again he is foiled, this time by Naruto's punch to the stomach with a fiery golden fist, sending the lord across the bridge. The chakra fist vanishes, showing that his hand actually transformed to a golden version of itself, allowing no distinction between clothes and skin. Naruto quickly creates a shadow clone with no hand signs, which appears in a flash of smoke next to him. "Go to that console, hack it, and find out the truth." The real Naruto commands to the clone, who does what he asked, before the real one throws himself to a stumbling Trogar. Raven wasn't so surprised at seeing the clone being formed, since she already knew of his cloning ability when she was scouring the city for him earlier, and kept finding fake versions of him, but she at least knows how the blonde did it now. What catches her eye, though, is the white circle in his right palm. "I wonder what that symbol means," she ponders. Robin aids Naruto in his skirmish. It takes him only the fraction of a second to leap back into the fight and deliver a crushing left jab that rocks Trogar off his feet. Even before the lord can hit the floor, he is knocked in a different direction by a steel-souled spin kick by Robin. Naruto teleports behind the space gecko and brings a solid kick to the spine, thwacking him back to Robin in a strange version of football. Now it is the boy wonder's turn to be caught out when massive hands wrap themselves around his midsection, and is thrown to the side, flying past Starfire, and into the far wall behind the captain's chair. A shocked gasp escapes from her mouth upon catching the sight of the Earthling warrior. "Robin!" She quickly spins around to a snarling Trogar, who is on his way across the deck toward her. Powering up as she lifts off, she lets go with a string of shots that tears into the deck on the way toward him. He is soon lost under the explosions and following smoke screen for a moment. He shocks Coriandar as he leaps out of it intact and madder than ever. That giant hand grabs her, jerking her down and slamming her into the ground harshly. She struggles to break his hold for a moment, before punching the alien lord with a starbolt-covered fist that forces him to drop her. With the still prone Robin, Naruto had his hand on his shoulder. After checking him for any injuries, the human hero decides to check Naruto's mental state. "Are you alright, Naruto?" Naruto knew what the boy wonder was referring to. He glanced to Cyborg and Coriandar delivering a volley of attacks to the creature that destroyed his planet. He looked back to Robin. "I'll be fine. I will need some time after this, though, to figure out what I'm going to do on this planet. Is it true that you have two demonic beings inside you?" he questioned, hearing what the blonde exclaimed proudly earlier. "Yes, I have. I'll explain after this," Naruto replied with a smile. "Robin's right, I gets larger due to the answer. Naruto wondered if the human was raising a brow, or if the mask was a part of his body. The flying bodies of the cybernetic male and Tamaranian princess landing beside them interrupted their small conversation. As Cyborg's right arm hits the floor, the panels of the artificial arm are jolted open for a moment, before all three peel themselves up. The circuitry now needing special attention, and very soon at that, but that would be very tricky. Can you rewire that into some sort of weapon? Robin inquired as he looked over to the metallic male. I can try. Cyborg replies, while at the same time, they hear a crackling sound, something similar to lightning or electricity being discharged violently, but controlled at the same time. The group of heroes, and villainous aliens, look to see the source of the crackling is Naruto, who is holding up a swirling chakra ball like he did in the corridor, but this one was golden, and was a swirling ball of lightning. While at the same time, a golden seal appeared on Trogar's stomach. Another thing that they noticed was Naruto's eyes are blood red instead of cerulean blue. It's called Flying Thunder God, Lightning Release Rasengan. He growls out almost demonically. What the others didn't know is that Kurama was in control of the blonde. Raven noticed that Naruto wasn't in control at the moment, and wondered if it was similar to her other personas. Before any of them can react, the QB-controlled Naruto teleported in a flash of yellow, reappeared in front of Trogar in the same fashion, and slammed the electrified chakra sphere into the Lord's stomach. This attack painfully electrocuted the Lord, which was evident by his screams. Trogar was then propelled away from Naruto, with the ball still wedged in his stomach, out the bridge window, and along the fully weaponized barrel, before landing and exploding on the barrel. The other still conscious Gordanians look on in shock at their lord's quick and very excruciating death. They look back to Naruto, who had moved back next to Robin. They snarl, and rush forth with a battle cry. The act of doing so boxes them in. They were going to avenge their dematerialized leader, in a very painful fashion upon the group of teens. However, a growl stops the Gordanians' advances. The source is none other than Raven, who is supporting Beast Boy. Menacingly, she shouts at the creatures that had stopped in their march to her allies. Get away from my friends! Her eyes glowed a brilliant white as she began summoning her powers. Azarath, Mitri and Zinthos, on cue with the last word, her spell causes most of it to disappear in a mighty explosion that causes a thick smoke screen. The shrouded people feel the ship spiral out of control, plummet toward Jump City Bay, and crashed in the water next to the island. The heroes were scattered across the bridge due to the explosion and fall. The only one not affected was Naruto, who stood still in the same place with glowing red eyes slowly reverting back to their original blue and having no glow. One of the reasons for that was the shadow clone exploded, and returned all the knowledge it had gained from the hacking, and sent it all to him, with the other reason being the blonde was now back in control. Naruto looks around the now roofless, demolished bridge littered with unconscious Gordanians, and was surprised it was still above water. He did note that it began to sink after a few moments. Robin, Cyborg, and Coriandar straighten up from their various positions on the deck, checking to see if they were harmed. Beast Boy and Raven at that moment find themselves in a broad approaching shadow. A lone Gordanian stands before the two. The survivor extends the claws on one hand to full length and lifts that hand, all set to eviscerate the adolescent's boy and girl. This Gordanian's action is stopped cold, this time by a brilliant blue-white flash from behind that slams squarely with his back. He goes down like a ton of bricks, allowing the changeling and Raven to see the other four in the background. Cyborg's right arm is raised to point straight ahead. A muzzle of a blue cannon has now replaced the right hand. He was able to rewire the damaged arm into a weapon like Robin had suggested earlier. As he powers down the arm, Cyborg spoke up after the deafening silence. All right, I am only gonna say this once. He gains the attention of the others, and beams a grin at them. Booyah! Jump City Bay, Island, Thursday. It had been a few hours since the invasion, and the sunrise was beautiful to say the least. Although most of the others had seen this type of rise before, it was different for the blonde shinobi as he studied it with his folded arms. Naruto, Cyborg, Robin, Raven and Beast Boy were all stood on the island's shores watching the sunset not far from the crashed spacecraft and Gordanian landing craft. Other than those, there was no other visible trace of the late Trogar's invasion fleet. That's quite a view. Somebody should think about building a house out here. Cyborg added to Raven's comment with a nod. A smiling Beast Boy added his own thoughts on the matter. Yeah, if you like sunshine and the beach. He seemed to have aimed this at Raven, as he nudged her, causing her to release a soft giggle. The green machine then turned his head to Naruto, who was standing a few meters from the group. "What about you, Naruto? What do you think?" Naruto was about to answer, but senses a familiar energy coming to them. He looks back to see the one he knows as Coriandar. He's going to have to speak to her about what happened on the ship later. The others turned to see what the blonde among them was looking at, and was surprised by the redhead's arrival and clothes. "Please." She had gotten rid of the crown, underarmor, and dark clothing. She has long red bangs that framed her face, small bangs hanging over her forehead, and has small eyebrows with the same color. She now wears a sleeveless top showing her stomach, a miniskirt, and thigh boots that were all purple. With them she had a belt, silver armor plates on her neck and arms, and a metal armband around her right arm. She definitely had a much sunnier disposition. "I look nice?" Robin steps up to meet her halfway. Beast Boy, however, interrupted his question. "You know we still don't know your name after all. It was hectic on the Gecko's ship. In your language, it would be Starfire," she told them with a smile, which increased as she looked over the team. "I thank you all for your help and bravery. Welcome to Earth, Starfire." Robin smiles to her, along with the others. Naruto was still distant from them, but still smiling. "I wish to ask permission to remain here, where the people are most strange but also most kind," she continued again with a smile and nervousness. "You don't need our permission," Raven stated before shaking her head with a smile. She heard Naruto move slightly in their direction, and was wondering why he was keeping his distance from the group. Was he afraid? Curious? Could he be still mourning for the loss of his planet and race? Or was he just unsure with what to do now? "If you want our friendship, you've got it," Robin confirmed with a smirk, the others agreeing. They then noticed Naruto walking to them. "I guess we could all use some new friends," Naruto adds uneasily, suggesting that he's still unsure either about staying, making friends, or still not sure what he's going to do with his life now. He joined in the circle the others had formed. "I did find out something interesting though from the ship during the fight. I got a clone of myself to hack a computer, and found out some important information." "Which is?" was the curious response and question from Cyborg, who was looking at the blonde-haired war hero. "I found out that my world wasn't destroyed," he announces happily. "But I watched it get destroyed, Naruto." The princess butts in, knowing what she saw with her jade eyes. "Apparently, they wanted to mentally damage you more, Coriandar. They found a world that looked similar, and used their computer technology to alter the image. No offense to you two in your conversation, but I think we kind of made a cool team." Beast Boy cut in, then stated with an enthusiastic grin. The others agreed, even Naruto. Naruto and Starfire would have to continue this very important conversation at a later date. Robin then pulled some items from his belt. "I thought we might want to keep in touch, so Cyborg and I designed these." Spread across the palms of his hands are 3 devices, which are flat yellow circular contraptions with a black circle in the middle, which is inside a yellow circle with black patterns, while a small antennae and a red button extend from it. Naruto guesses they are communicators and wonders if the blackness of the middle will ever be filled. Beast Boy, Raven, and Starfire each take one and run an impressed eye over them. Naruto afterwards takes the last one and hummed as he inspected it. "Made them myself," Cyborg informed them proudly. His smile grew as Naruto offered a fist bump, which he accepted. "When there's trouble, you know who to call," Robin declares while giving a thumbs up, as the new team give a variety of facial expressions. Starfire nodded with a big beaming smile along with Cyborg. Beast Boy had a large smile also and was very happy with the idea of the new team. Raven nodded with a faint smile. Naruto grins a happy foxy grin. "I may be lost, but I'll never lose my way," he mentally states. However, someone else was there. This person held a special connection to the blonde, and he was about to make his presence known. "Nice to see a familiar face, Naruto." That gets everyone's attention, but at the same time Naruto released a gasp, knowing the person that voice belonged to. But that person died before the war, didn't he? So how was he here? Naruto looks to the side, specifically where the Gordanian landing craft was, and noticing a very familiar person standing against it. This person is a tall, middle-aged man with waist-length, spiky white hair that is tied back into a ponytail, with 2 shoulder-length bangs that frame both sides of his face and bangs hanging just over his eyebrows. He has red lines that run down from his eyes. He wears a black short shirt kimono with the kanji symbol 4 oil that denotes his affiliation with Mount Myaboku, and long matching black pants, under which he has mesh armor that shoots out of the sleeves of his outfit. His outfit is completed with handguards, a simple black belt, black shoes, and a red haori with 2 simple yellow circles on each side. His left palm also features a tattoo. Another feature is that his left arm was cybernetic like cyborgs, but more fitting for the man's body structure. This is Jiraiya, one of the legendary Sannin. It can't be. Naruto used his senses to find any form of illusion and found none. Do you know this person? Raven asked while looking at the chakra levels this person had. It was very high and more refined like Naruto's, higher than hers, but not as high as Naruto's, who is standing next to her. Pervy sage. Is that you? Naruto asked trembling. Just seeing his face again is too much for Naruto. He couldn't believe that his godfather was standing a few meters from him, alive. The others raised their eyebrows, with Beast Boy snickering at the odd name. They wanted to know about the connection between the two. It's nice to know that you've not forgotten me, my student. The man laughed, secretly missing the nickname given to him by Naruto, and his own father Minato. The others were in shock when the man called Naruto, my student. Jungle, Thursday. The priest that Starfire had accounted was standing in a moonlit forest, with an open canopy, but still had high trees and was quite expansive in size. Beautiful flowers of all types surrounded the pathway he is situated on. A great horned owl is stood on his shoulder. He strokes the owl affectionately. Both he and the owl were looking in the direction of Jump City. The priest releases a sigh of relief, before he continues on his trek into the unknown. All is well. Space, over Earth, Monday. Space is a beautiful place, an unthinkable sized, forever expanding expanse, filled with wondrous beauty, and treasures to satiate. A universe filled with life, order, and a sense of godliness when you look closely, or you fly through the soulful void in your interstellar or intergalactic craft. However, space is not for the timid. Chaos, like order, permeates throughout the universe. Where there is light, there is dark. Where there is good, there is evil. The strange serenity of the surroundings is disturbed by a sudden, but distant flash of light. Upon closer inspection for the event, not one, but 4 glowing objects emerge and approach a certain spot in the vast star ocean, Earth. Without warning, 3 peel off from the group, leaving the lone 4th, which heads on a direct course for the planet. The white haze around it dims just enough to show it to be long and cylindrical, something alien, but also human in terms of shape, being shaped like a missile, but with several trailing tentacles. Its purpose is unknown, but it will no doubt have strange consequences for the Earth, and the heroes of said blue marble. Jump City, Waterfront Carnival, Monday. The night sky was beautiful no matter where you went, but it's perfected when it's a clear sky. But tonight was even more perfect, as a fireworks show is in full swing on the waterfront. Near the waterfront, a carnival Ferris wheel, roller coaster, old-style games, and various other activities are thriving, and thriving well. Situated in one of the wheel's cars is Robin and Starfire. The alien princess watches the pyrotechnics with complete awe, before sighing in total bliss, and temporarily forgetting her personal troubles in the process. They are beautiful. Tell me again what they are called. She questions the domino mask wearer with wonder in her multi-toned green eyes. Fireworks, came the reply, before a few more firecrackers went off, causing many hues of colors to briefly shine upon them, before the various colors vanished into the sea of black. Calling from personal experience, concern was suddenly her main expression and stance. On my home planet, explosions such as these would mean the Gordanians were attacking. Are you sure Earth is not under attack, Robin? Positive, was the blunt reply from Robin. Upon hearing that, Star's appearance became relaxed. Steering away from that topic, the teenage thunderbolt asked her a question. How have things between you and Uzumaki been? The Tamarinian's demeanor changed from her relaxed state to a series of emotions ranging from sadness, uncertainty, hope, longing, before finally settling on a crestfallen one. It hasn't been easy. We talked during our time building the tower, and between his meetings with his teacher, Mayor Jiraiya. We caught up a bit, before I had to explain to him about my deception during our meetings on his home world. He wasn't happy that he never saw me, the real me, as he already had trust issues with people lying to him all the time early on in his life. She sighs before looking down from the Ferris wheel to see the blonde in question, whom was chatting with Raven, and looking at the night sky during their talk. Plus, he's been teaching friend Raven, and learning about this world also. So it's been hard. How long have you known him? Robin wondered, since it hadn't been established, and plus, he was curious about the connection between the two alien visitors. Coriandar looked over to him, smiles lightly, and tells him, I've known him since he was 6, and I was 5. I was his first friend, but he kept me a secret, even from the leader of his village. He was so curious as a child, and so energetic. We met often, and spent time together as friends, although when he turned 13, he became very busy with his life, and I was busy also. However, we kept meeting, training, talking. She looks down sadly, and lets out a dejected sigh. He's changed so much in the span of 2 years, but it could be because I didn't see him all last year, and some of the previous year I miss his longer hair. Robin patted Starfire's back, trying to raise her spirits. He wasn't a stranger to an outlandish relationship. After all, he's in a secret long-distance relationship, and plus, he struggled with opening up. But that wouldn't stop him comforting his friend. I'm sure you'll sort it out. It's been tricky for the both of you. I'm sure the two of you will get through this. You just need to keep talking to him, and maybe everything will run smoothly between you two again. But with regards to Naruto and Raven spending time together, you must not get too jealous. He's only teaching her about their common powers. It seemed to work, but only somewhat. Starfire smiled lightly at Robin's attempt at helping her. She did understand what he meant though. Raven had similar powers to Naruto, and so he was the best to train her. Naruto has been training the other Titans though, although that thought caused her to shiver somewhat, as Naruto was a tough taskmaster, but he did bring results. Even if she felt completely knackered from the training to the point even her hair hurt. Cotton candy? Questioned Robin, breaking the green-eyed girl's train of thought, causing her to look at him, as he holds the cotton candy-colored pink stuff out to her. He pulls off a portion and pops it into his mouth. Curiously, she follows suit and realizes it is indeed different from anything she's had before. It was sweet, very sweet, and dissolved very quickly in the confines of her mouth. It vanished, she announces with a surprised gasp. With a chuckle, Robin responds with a light smile, one caused by the alien female's perplexed expression. Yeah. It'll do that. With a more content sigh, Starfire looks at the boy wonder. When I first came to this planet, I did not think I would ever fit in. Earth was full of strange things. But now I see that her comment was halted, but not from Robin's voice, but by a big glare from a coming firecracker apocalypse. Here comes the climax. Yes. The explosion of color could be seen for miles around the epicenter. Robin cheered, grabbing the bars of the seat they were in, before raising his right arm into the air, thrusting it in joy and excitement. In the sky before them, the display has turned into a fusillade of intensity, many times more chaotic and beautiful than the previous acts. Hoo-hoo-hoo! Amazing! Earth is full of amazing things too, continues Starfire from her previous statement, while her eyes shine brightly from the beauty of the firework display and the enjoyment she's feeling. Robin jokingly replies back to her as he takes in the breathtakingly stunning view, and taking one last bit from the cotton candy, before giving the rest to Cory. Best planet I've ever been to. Without warning, a long and cylindrical object, one strangely shaped in the form of a missile, but with several trailing tentacles, sweeps past the Ferris wheel, and yanks a bewildered Starfire from her seat in its tentacles in the process of the flyby. She is carried into the sky, screaming in fright and confusion. Starfire! Bellowed Robin, as he swiftly reacted to go save his friend. Jump City, Bay, Monday. The craft at that moment was streaking over the bay at an alarming pace, so much so that the festival is now on the horizon. Starfire struggles against the hold of the tentacles wrapped around her, preventing her escape. Wherever you're taking me, I don't want to go. Understand? Exclaims the captured red-haired female. She fires a starbolt at the base of the tentacles, the missile-shaped body. The craft stops in mid-flight, in response to the attack. It crackles all over with the energy of the shot, temporarily stunning it, while she extricates herself and bugs out, heading back to the carnival. The construct goes after her. Jump City, Waterfront Carnival, Monday. Just before the event in the skies, down in the carnival game booths, an old ring toss game is in full swing. Beast Boy's laughter echoes around the environment in excitement. The Green Machine and his friend, Cyborg, had been playing a few matches now, and had tied after what felt like years, due to their comical antics. Booyah! Exclaimed the mechanical teen, as he readied a high five for his friend. Sweet! Commented the enthusiastic BB, as he responded to Cyborg's high five with his own. The two leave the booth as Beast Boy is handed his prize, which was a huge stuffed chicken. Cyborg was given a prize of his own, which was a large stuffed brown bear. Not far from them is Raven and Naruto, with the former leaning against a post, her arms crossed and her expression showing her low opinion of the whole event. Naruto meanwhile was looking at the fireworks display. The two had been chatting every so often, but Raven did like the quiet, which was alright with Naruto. Raven did glance often at Naruto with a small smile. She did like his company. He was a tough teacher though, he was strict, and he forced the team beyond their limits, always making them wear weights to increase their speed and strength. Then the moment they got used to them, he'd up the weight and training. She shivered at his methods, but they did provide fantastic results. She had never felt more powerful in her life, and she felt more in control of her powers. The others felt this way too, even if they didn't voice it, but she knew all of the team benefited greatly through Naruto's training. One thing that annoyed the whole team though, was Naruto's openness about his past and training. While Starfire knew about both of those, knowing more of the former, he continually, but brilliantly, steered the conversation about his past to something else every time. Raven also couldn't look further into Naruto's mind, nor could she hear his conversations with his demons, almost like she's being blocked. She didn't know why, since she had never revealed her ability to read minds. The others she could read, but in the case of Naruto, it was as if he wasn't even there, and that annoyed her. If I may ask, how are things between you and Starfire? Opened Raven, as she knew this would help her gain some more insight into the current situation between the two alien members of the team. Naruto glanced at her, but he did seem to have a tired demeanor. She could tell he was despondent about the whole situation. Well, I don't know, honestly. I have spoken to her during the building of the tower, and between my meetings with the pervy mayor. I had asked her about the deception during our meetings on Gaia. As you could guess, I wasn't happy that I never met the real her. I had trust issues back then, and I thought I found someone different. It seems people will tend to not show trust. The blonde thought for a moment though, looking back at the sky. Raven looked over to him, understanding why he had trust issues. The two were nearly the same, so it wasn't hard. Another thing she knew was that he was now working as the mayor's bodyguard, but he was also applying for another job also. On top of that, he was protecting the city and teaching them, so he was busy. I guess I can forgive her though. After all, it would be tricky to tell someone that an alien girl had landed and was talking with me. I would have been locked away so fast, or she would have been taken and experimented on. Naruto sighs and runs a hand through his hair. I do need to talk to Kori more though. I know she's still trying to adjust to the new me. She hasn't seen me in 2 years, give or take a few months. Raven nodded. You do need to talk to her more. I can tell she's been really down due to you not talking to her. I know she wants to be with you, and she wants things how they were, when you used to talk all the time. Naruto smiled slightly, but suddenly frowned. She wants to be with me? What do you mean? Raven raised a brow and blinked. Was Naruto dense or something? She shook her head slightly and smirked. As a friend, Naruto. Like I said, she wants to be with you, like you two were together before, as close friends. Naruto smiled slightly, before looking at her. I guess I could try. I know I've got to go to that meeting tomorrow, with regards to that job I'm applying for. What's the name of the place you're applying for a job again? Raven asked curiously, as he had kept that tight as well. Another issue of Naruto's that she likes, but also dislikes, since she likes to know more about the current situations. That, and also Robin had been sneaking around Naruto's personal barriers. A place called Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, or something along those lines. Naruto replied, looking at her, before looking beyond her, and seeing Beast Boy and Cyborg walking up to them. Naruto didn't notice the shocked look on her face. Told you we'd win you a prize, comments the smug changeling, as he gives her the giant stuffed chicken. Raven looks at it as she takes it, looking at the stuffed toy with the most irritated look in the universe. A giant chicken. I must be the luckiest girl in the world. She comments sarcastically, which Beast Boy ignores, as he beams a large smile. The quadruplets are disturbed, as Robin lands not far from them, alarming the group. Naruto notices the lack of a person at the same time. As the traffic light-themed boy stands up, he announces in his leadership voice. Titans! Trouble, where's Starfire? Voiced the cybernetic teen, as he looked around for the red-haired teammate. That's the trouble, replied Robin. Naruto sighs under his breath as the others begin to scramble to aid their friend. The amount of entropy. Robin leads the group forward, with Raven trailing behind to toss the toy chicken aside before catching up to him and the others. The group, upon reaching the end of the pier, look over the bay to see a scintillating object plummet straight toward the somewhat rough ocean, before it abruptly angles itself to aim at the pier. It appears to be Starfire as she pulls up sharply to skim the surface, leaving a high raising, broad wake behind herself. The alien craft is hot on her tail, however, something she instantly notices when she looks back over her shoulder. Coriandar gasps, and suddenly sidesteps to avoid a lashing tentacle. Upon turning onto her back, she throws a couple of starbolts that hit the nose of the probe. Her attacks, however, had no effect on the craft. Will you stop chasing me now, please? Shouted a very worried Starfire, in a vain hope of trying to convince the probe to cease its pursuit. Knowing that the probe won't stop, she flips to face forward again, and she blasts off like a shot, trying to gain some distance between herself and the pursuer. She angles herself toward the pier, plans on flying neatly through 4 of the Titans, an act that may cause her to slam into Naruto. What the others didn't see was the extremely focused eyes of Naruto. They also didn't see the deep scowl replacing the happy features he tends to show. The blonde hero was angry at the probe for varying reasons. But the one thing that made Naruto really mad was one simple thing. It was trying to hurt one of his oldest friends, and one of his best friends. Despite the fact he was having problems with that friend, he couldn't care less. The red-haired Titan did what she planned by flying between the other Titans, knowing her flight path would cause her to crash into Naruto. What she and the others for that matter didn't count on was her body phasing through Naruto's like he was a ghost. The moment she passed fully through Naruto, another blonde suddenly appeared and slammed a flaming right hand onto the base of the probe, causing it to crash through the pier they were on and explode on the ground beneath them. The explosion was mighty in scale, but seemed to not affect the team and structures on the pier. A bewildered Beast Boy gazed at the hole in the floor before he lifted his head to look at the 2 Narutos. He asked the question. So, did we just win? A very stupid question given what just happened. Dude? What happened to your hand? Suddenly exclaimed BB in awe. The other Titans also look, with Starfire flying to the front to look at her savior's right hand. All of them were shocked. Naruto, though, was more annoyed than anything, as he had been trying to hide this power. The flames that coated his right hand vanished at the same time the clone of his vanished in smoke. The one that Starfire flew through. Nothing is wrong, it's my chakra acting as a shield and a sword. Naruto states angrily, but also was telling a half-truth. You need to be more careful, Naruto. I know you wanted to protect your mate, but try not to reveal all of the cards yet, replied the now whole demon fox. During the few months of building the tower, the 2 QBS oddly became one again. While this was a good thing in a sense, as the 2 separate entities before were stronger than the original whole being, it also brought about some problems. Kurama now had 2 separate memories running through its head, was also extremely powerful. Naruto had to relearn his chakra control. Although for Naruto that was easy to do, as he just sent armies of shadow clones out into the world to relearn that control to the level he had before the whole event. Whatever that thing was, it can't hurt you now. Robin commented, while looking at the team, after taking his eyes from Naruto's annoyed face. But why did it wish to hurt me at all? I haven't done anything to warrant such an attack like that. Starfire questioned, as she seemed sure she hadn't caused any reason for the probe to attack her in the first place. It couldn't be the Gordanians, Jump City, rooftops, Monday. Not far from the action, but far enough away to not be seen, a lone figure stands, gazing down at the retreating Titans. One would say he was a shadow, with how well he blended into the dark structure, but also the fact that the dark sky that had blanketed this side of the planet was a pitch black. There were the odd moments where it was illuminated due to the fireworks, but that was only briefly. This entity was strange, and was hidden well, but an explosion from the firecrackers allowed anyone who was looking to see him, if only for the briefest of moments. His head was concealed by a black mask that covers the entire upper half of his head. The mask has vermilion-colored flame-like designs that emanate from the eye holes, and reach to the sides where the ears would be. He wears high black boots and black jeans, also featured are single belts wrapped around each thigh. His belt buckle features a fox skull around his waist with the strap being vermilion in color. He wears black, gauntlet-shaped, fingerless gloves with 3 buckled straps on each one. His coat is also black, with 2 coattails extending from it, the underside of the coattails being vermilion in color. The coat has a high collar with buckles on it also. The front of the coat seems to also resemble body armor, with the zipper closed all the way up from the waist to the bottom of his neck. The armor is also vermilion. Along the outside of the tailcoat though are vermilion magatama, with magatama makings on the back of the coat also. The being was watching the Titans from his position, before his eyes landed on Naruto. His eyes kept a firm lock on the blonde hero, like a hunter hunting his prey. Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki, your future will be darkness. I know it will. He spoke, his voice was deep and distorted. Even his voice, like his outfit, shrouded him in mystery. He kept his eyes, his glowing blood-red and ice-blue eyes, locked on Naruto, before the Titans left the area. With his observations done, he too vanished into the shadows of the night, leaving no trace he was there, like he was a ghost, or something unnatural. Jump City, Titans Tower Living/Main Ops Room, Monday. The large room contains a number of flat-panel computer displays, a well-equipped, but small kitchen that has a large refrigerator. The room also contains a large TV, and power storage of the tower, and also houses the tower's main computer and communication suites. One wall is made entirely of glass from floor to ceiling. The color spectrum of the room is predominantly silver, brown, and black. It also has a large settee which half circles a round table. The room also has 3 doors, 2 that lead to the bedrooms, the third that is at the back of the room, with this one leading to the lower and higher levels. The operations center's rear door opens with Starfire coming through the threshold. She is certainly euphoric in body language. She enters first, while her teammates slowly make their way through the doorway, taking it in turns as all of them can't cram through the doorframe at the same time. Come, my dear friends. Indra announces passionately, gaining the attention of everyone in the room. It was as if a spotlight shone down on her at this very moment. I want to thank you for my rescue by reciting the poem of gratitude. All 6,000 verses. She continues with more passion and joy. The other 5, now inside the operations center, snap their eyes to the red-haired alien. Some even experience whiplash when they jolt their heads to look at her. It is as subtle as a car crash in effect. They could have sworn they heard a car crash in the distance also, causing Naruto to look around with a troubled look on his face. Starfire turns around to face the group with a large smile. Robin, Raven, Beast Boy, and Cyborg all suddenly point to Naruto, and shouted in unison. He saved you, he should hear the poem, Naruto grumbles, before grinning at Starfire. I'd love to hear it, Cory. But can you thank me later? In the meantime, he'd planned his revenge against his friends for doing this to him. The group of friends that had put it all on him looked at him as if he was mental. Starfire beamed a happy smile at him, liking that idea of her thanking him later. She did giggle at the gang for putting it all on Naruto though. She knew for a fact that he was plotting something against them for that. They are surprised when a young female voice announces its presence to the team. A voice that is a bit beepy, very suave, and somewhat seductive. I see you haven't changed a bit. Like Starfire, Blackfire, or Kaminara is tall, very beautiful, and has a slender, but curvy body. However, she is slightly shorter than Starfire, and has a bit thicker build. She has long midnight black hair with a purple tint, and her skin is yellow tinted instead of orange like Cory's. Her eyebrows are small and are purple in color. Her eyes are also purple. She wears a sleeveless top showing her stomach, a mini skirt and thigh boots that were all black. She is also wearing a belt, and has a darker silver armor plate on her neck, dark silver gauntlets, and armor plates on her shoulders, under which was metal armored undergarments that covered her whole body except her face and hands. What Naruto and Robin both notice also is the difference in hairstyles. While they look the same, Blackfire's face framing bangs were longer, but her hair was shorter, as it only reached her lower back, not her bum like Starfire's did. The teenage girl, with an eerily similar appearance to Starfire, smirked as she leans against the back of the couch, before pushing off of it. It was like seeing dark and light using the same body frame when looking upon Indra and Kaminara. When we were little, I was always rescuing Starfire. She continued in a sort of reminiscent, but still confident tone. She laughed at the memories. Sister, squealed Corandar as she happily flew over to Blackfire and hugged her tightly. A hug that even got the dark-haired sister's grin to waver slightly, before the new visitor hugged back. The two separated the hug not long after. Starfire is stunned though when Blackfire holds up a beautiful, immaculate necklace, one that holds a large multi-toned green gem. The gem is mesmerizing, and it faintly reminds Naruto of the necklace he was given many years ago, before its destruction by his QB-controlled self, back during Pain's attack on Konoha. Naruto's reverie was curtailed when he heard the dark Tamaranian speak. "I brought you a present, sister dear." A deep gasp escaped Starfire and her eyes threatened to take up her whole face at the sight of this trinket, albeit a stunning and beautiful trinket. "A Centauri moon diamond? Where did you get?" asked a generally surprised Coriandar, before she was caught mid-sentence by her older sister. "On the Centauri moons, of course." Kaminar interrupts in a matter-of-factly tone, before she fastens it around Starfire's neck. "Oh look, it matches your eyes." The recipient, Starfire, beams a massive smile, her eyes wide as well in delight. It was almost as if her eyes were trying to mimic the gem in her new necklace. Somehow, someway, the sound of a cash register is heard going off. This caused Naruto to sharply look around, trying to find the source of the sound. "You must meet my friends," the red-haired Tamaranian declared to her sister suddenly. Blackfire had no say in this, as she was suddenly yanked across the operations center before she could start a word, or even think about saying one. Blackfire gave off a small gasp of surprise in response to the yanking across the room. Blackfire stopped moving eventually. She had to regain her balance for a tad, before she looked at the crowd of 5 that had watched the interaction between the two sisters. Her eyes settled on Naruto for a moment, realizing who he was, and what he meant to Starfire. Kaminar mentally grinned. A very cunning plan was already forming in her mind. "I wish to introduce my big sister." Coriandar started with a happy smile, while looking at her friends. Blackfire, during the younger sister's speech, walks to the team, and interrupts the younger sibling's announcement with her boldness. "I'm Blackfire," she states with a flirty and confident tone, one that seems to be typical of her. She's definitely more confident and bold, in comparison to Starfire, with the red-haired teen seemingly caught off guard. "And since Star told me all about the Titans in her transmissions, let me guess." The newly revealed Blackfire continues, as she points to Cyborg. "Your Cyborg." Cyborg, being the friendly giant that he is, held out hand to her, wanting to shake hands with the new arrival. "Pleased to meet you, little lady." Blackfire smiles, and agrees to shake his hand, only for the sound of metal grinding together to permeate throughout the room. Blackfire had applied her otherworldly strength into the handshake. After the dark-haired sibling let go of the cybernetic teen's hand, the young man finds his fingers to have been squeezed out of alignment. "Little lady, big handshake." "Well, all right," the metallic teen praised, while seemingly not bothered about his hand. He had a replacement in his room, although he never thought he would have to use that replacement after shaking someone's hand. Blackfire continued on her scouting of the team, and she was now down to Raven. The first thing the Tamaranian noticed was the stunning red and black bindi on Raven's ash-colored forehead. "I like that gemstone on your Ajna chakra." That truly surprised Naruto and Raven, but in truth, it also impressed the pair of them. "You know about chakras?" Raven asked with a ghost of a smile. Blackfire smiled and nodded. "I got way into meditation on Altara Prime," she elaborated before continuing. "I know you and Naruto are the only ones with chakra. Maybe the 3 of us could meditate sometime?" she offered with the same smile. "Besides, it looks as if you all have been training hard." That caused everyone in the room, except her and Naruto, to shiver in slight fright. The training hard segment was true, as their trainer, Naruto, was a tough taskmaster. Beast Boy makes a small comment regarding the training. "Dude, we get worked to the bone. Our teacher is a real sadist. If we fail, we have to do it all over again. Then he throws his energy attacks at us during our exercise as a surprise attack. Even the hairs on my head hurt after it all." Naruto's right eye twitches in annoyance at Beast Boy's bitching regarding his methods. He edges closer to him with an irritated look on his face, before the blonde slaps the green-haired teen around the back of the head lightly, still making the green machine hold his head in pain. "Stop moaning, or I will increase everyone's levels of training by 10, and you will get less breaks." This causes what is undoubtedly the most bizarre scene in the eyes of the older Tamaranian, as the other members of the Titans, including her sister, quickly get on their knees in front of the blonde, and are begging Naruto to reconsider his words. "Please, don't do that to us, we'll be good," cried Cyborg. "I take back what I said, Naruto." Beast Boy begged in worry. "Please go easy on us," commented a distressed Starfire. "Don't go that intense, Naruto, please." Raven stammered out. Even her emotoclones were doing this act, and saying the same words, not wanting to experience the torture/training. "Please forgive Beast Boy for his words," voiced out a calm, but still very worried Robin. What was making this experience even more bizarre was that fact that all of them were using puppy eyes on Naruto, whom was starting to lose his resolve, before he finally succumbed to their puppy eyes. "And please," Naruto sighed loudly, before slapping his face. "Fine, I won't increase the levels, and I won't take away your breaks as well. Now get up, we've got a beautiful guest here, and I don't think she wants to see all of you begging me with puppy eyes." The other 5 members of the Titans quickly got back into their original positions before the event. However, it left an imprint on Blackfire's mind that no amount of alcohol could get rid of. Despite that, she was flattered by Naruto's comment, causing her to smirk. Shaking her head, she moved on to the next person in the lineup, the one who caused the whole mess between the team and Naruto. "Beast Boy. What's up?" she greeted with the same flirty smile. "Nothing but the ceiling, baby," replied said changeling. He was attempting to sound smooth and cool. Beast Boy's smile grew when the sound of Blackfire's laughter hit his ears. Blackfire, while laughing, complimented the younger teen. "Good one. You're funny." While in reality, she was laughing at his attempt to woo her. She was also laughing at the fact that Raven and Naruto both rolled their eyes at his attempt to crack a joke and smooth talk her. Beast Boy, grinning happily, leaned over to Raven and whispered, "See? She thinks I'm funny," he commented in a self-satisfied tone. "Statistically, I suppose someone has to. But also, it wasn't the joke she was laughing at," the Dark Titan muttered back in her monotone voice. The first part deflates his ego a bit, while he appeared confused at the second half of Raven's reply. Blackfire smirks at the interaction between the two, before she makes her way to the next member, Naruto. Naruto's eyes lock onto hers the minute she stepped in front of him. He was taller than her, like he was with Starfire, however he was shorter than Cyborg. Naruto had to admit, she was gorgeous, powerful, and deadly. She had the most beautiful shade of purple for eyes, and he could easily make out the slight purple tint in her hair. Her lips also seemed very soft, but he could tell she would be the rough type. Naruto did wonder about her personality though. What he did notice during the interaction between the two sisters before was the negative emotions emitting from her and being directed at Starfire, something he will need to dig into later. Blackfire was doing her own observations of the blonde male. Her smile grew into a more seductive one from her flirty one from before. He was handsome, his skin tone was perfect, his sea-colored eyes, God, those eyes of his, she would allow him to gaze at her all the time. His messy blonde locks that she could run her hands through, and his skin-tight bodysuit under his haori left nothing to the imagination. He was perfect in looks. What really got her attention was the power he held. She could feel the power radiating from his being, and it was intoxicating. Starfire wasn't kidding when she told her that Naruto emanated power. It was incredible, and if what her sister had told her was true, he hadn't even shown his full power, and he was able to beat Starfire and the rest of the team at the same time. "Naruto Namikaze Uzumaki, huh?" commented the flirty Blackfire as she walked around Naruto slowly, and was taking in his form. She loved what she was seeing. Naruto smirked as he looked at her every so often, his eyes looking up and down her body, taking in her form as she was taking in his. His eyes settled on her lips when she completed a circle around him, and settled for standing in front of him. He looked at her eyes before replying to her. "And you're Blackfire, Kamina, right?" Blackfire put her hands on her hips, and looked at Naruto's face, while he was gazing at hers. "Starfire told me a lot about you, but she always states that you're one of the strongest fighters on the team. Perhaps we should fight someday soon. I've been itching for a good fight." She finished with a flirty slur. Naruto raised his brow at her, before his eyes widened at her declaration at the end. His eyes focused on hers. "You want a full-blown fight, the first to fall unconscious loses?" He was somewhat surprised, but he quickly gained a fire of excitement in his eyes. "Oh, I'm game, just tell me when and where, Blackfire." The two had grins on their faces, both filled with excitement and battle lust. The two really wanted to have this showdown. Blackfire was impressed, Naruto wasn't backing down, and she wanted that spark. Starfire was looking on with wide eyes. She knew her sister was battle-hungry. The older sibling always loved to fight, and always boasted about it. But the fact that Naruto wasn't backing down was alarming. She had thought that he wasn't as battle-hungry, despite the way his world was. She was clearly wrong, and now he was agreeing to battle her older sister, who was very proficient in the art of hand-to-hand combat, and was also as talented at using her energy attacks. Blackfire smiled, before continuing to the line to the last member of the team, the leader. Her thoughts still lingered on Naruto, but she put them aside when she stepped in front of Robin. And you must be Robin, the illustrious leader of the Titans. She quickly appears behind him, before running her fingers along his cape. Oh, I am loving this cape. It's positively luscious, she remarked with a light giggle. Thanks. It's a high-density polymerized titanium, 10 times stronger than steel. He elaborated with a nod and a barely noticeable grin. Fascinating. So, beloved sister, what brings you to Earth? Asks a wondering Starfire, as she wanted to know why her older sister was here. Heck, they all wanted to know why. As Blackfire saunters to the couch, she explains with a shrug. I was in the quadrant. Thought I'd see if Earthlings like to party. She hops over the back of the couch and sits with a leg crossed over the other, and her arms resting to the left and right of her on the back of the chair. Besides, I needed a rest. Nearly got sucked into a black hole on the way here. Almost as fast as lightning, Beast Boy, Cyborg, and Robin are at the SETI, surrounding her, and showering her with questions regarding the event with the black hole, leaving Naruto, Raven, and Starfire at the kitchen counter. Naruto simply was annoyed at the boys, but asked Raven to help him find information regarding lost continents, while telling Starfire that they needed to talk soon. Hey Naruto, dude, don't you want to hear this? Shouted Beast Boy from across the room, causing the closest to him to wince at the bellow. Naruto shook his head and replied as he began walking to the side door. No, I need to find something out. I will hear it another time, but I need to figure this out right now. Blackfire raised a brow at the blonde at the reply, while Robin nodded, completely understanding why, as did Cyborg. What is he trying to figure out? Questioned Blackfire, as she was curious about what was plaguing the blonde male. She knew that Naruto had meetings every 2 days with the mayor of the city, but he was wanting to find something out. The question was what Naruto was wanting to find out. Robin wanted to change the topic back to what it was originally. Before anyone could answer Blackfire, she wanted to know everything that included Naruto, since he was her first target. Kaminar shook her head and smirked. She was going to learn more about the team soon, and she wanted to know more about Naruto, and with how BB was, he would spill the beans to her as it were, as he was too in awe of her beauty and flirty nature. Okay, so I'm cruising through the Draconis Nebula, and Blackfire, interrupted Starfire from her position in the kitchen. You know that nebula is full of black holes. Travel there is forbidden. She continued with a reprimanding tone and expression. Utter silence is the answer to that remark, and funny looks from the group at the couch. The dark-haired sister, giving a hard-hearted shrug, before replying to her more innocent sister. Most fun things in life are. Now be a sweetie and bring me one of those sodas I've heard so much about. She lectured before turning to the boys once more. So anyway, I'm zooming over an event horizon, approaching light speed, when all of a sudden, Starfire walks toward the refrigerator, completely tuning out her sister's epic tale of survival. She opens the door, showing the inside of it. While it is very clean and spacious, it has little to no food inside it. She sighs, before getting the only soda in the fridge to give to her sister. In a disgruntled fashion, she whispers to herself. I see you haven't changed either. She closes the door. Jump City, Titan's Tower. Naruto's room. Monday. Naruto's bedroom door opened to the sides, allowing the blonde to enter his own abode, completely made up of things that belonged to him, and what he acquired through his secret job, a job that only himself and Jiraiya knows about. His bedroom was large like the personal rooms of the others in the tower, and it had plenty of decoration. It featured a super king-sized bed with black pillows, black sheets, and a flaming orange and black cover. It has a dark oak wood bed frame that creates the headboard, footboard, and bed rails, all of which had very beautiful, intricate carvings on it. Beside the bed was a small set of modern drawers made from dark oak wood. The room had two large dark oak bookcases. One held many books, with the other containing scrolls of varying shapes and sizes. It also had two tables and a double dresser. Both were made out of dark oak wood and modern in design. The curtains were black and orange with the carpet matching. The upper half of the walls and ceiling were black, while the rest of the wall was dark oak wood. Various posters, maps, and photographs were displayed around the room, with a large board at the back of one of the tables to pin images and sticky notes on. He also has a very comfy orange armchair next to his bed. Naruto walked across the room to the left side bed where the small drawers were, opens it, and pulls out an orange book, which has diary written in a striking and appealing font. He creates a clone, who takes the diary, before sitting in the armchair and begins writing in it. The real Naruto in the meantime was going through his scroll-filled bookcase, trying to find information regarding a secret mission that Jiraiya had given him. Naruto searched for some time, but couldn't find anything, so he created clones to search through the scrolls and books, while he turned in for the night. Jump City, Titans Tower Living/Main Ops Room, Tuesday. The team had slept well, most of them anyway. Beast Boy had dreamt of Blackfire, and them two flirting. He was showing off his moves, aka his shape-shifting ability in his attempt to woo her more. Starfire had a troubled sleep. She was also thinking about her sister, but in a totally different manner. She was really afraid that her sister would take her place on the team, but also she was very worried about the interaction between her crush and her sister last night. That was the subject for more of her nightmares and worries. She was trying to push it away. Naruto wouldn't see Blackfire in the romantic type of way, right? She shook her head, exploring the corridors of the tower, calling for her sister. Sister, I need to talk to you. BB and Cyborg, who were playing a racing game on the large TV in the ops room, heard her calls, but ignored it. Two vehicles were on the screen, one green and one white, speeding along a twisting elevated track. The green one gets ahead and blocks any attempts made by the white car to pass. Cyborg and Beast Boy are sat on the couch, playing a racing game on the game station. You want to pass me, but you can't pass me. You can't, Pa boasted the cybernetic teen, but his beepy grin was turned upside down as Beast Boy's car suddenly passed his. Surprised, he shouts in shock as the changeling grins a devious smile. You passed me, Titan the Turn, Jets, and Nitro. He jumps up not long after and does a laughing victory dance, while at the same time, Cyborg slumps over in defeat. A moment later, the two return back to the couch and begin a new game. Starfire walks up behind them at this exact moment with an investigative expression. Has either of you seen Blackfire, Blazin' Bee? Beast Boy questions with adoration. She was here just a second ago. His face goes red with annoyance, while Cyborg grins. The reason being that his car was knocked aside by Cyborg's car on the game. Ah yeah! Back in the lead. Mwahaha! He roared a hearty laugh. May I join your game? Starfire asks, as she takes in the game with her own jade eyes. It does seem like an enjoyable experience. Winner plays Blackfire. The metallic male replied bluntly. Yeah. She rules at this game. Added a very love-struck BB, who might as well have love hearts orbiting his head. He was daydreaming of the dark-haired visitor from the stars, that he didn't notice his car getting smashed off course. Starfire, visibly deflated by the responses she had gotten, turned away to look for her sister. I see. Jump City, Titans Tower. Starfire's bedroom, Tuesday. Some time had passed since Starfire's meeting with BB and Cyborg. Starfire's bedroom was very clean and neat. It had no forms of dirt or uncleanliness. The one thing it did have, though, was the atmosphere of the room was very, very feminine. With pink and purple walls, pink curtains, dark purple doors, purple drawers, small purple tables, a purple bookshelf, and a purple lamp. There is also a circular-shaped, queen-sized bed with purple sheets, pink covers, and pink pillows. There was also a TV on the wall next to the window, and next to the half-filled bookshelf, many photos decorate the wall. Stood next to the bed is Blackfire, whom is glancing around the room with a disgusted frown. There was too much pink. She liked darker colors, and was glad that the spare room next to Robin's was much darker than this. Right now, though, she is only wearing her underwear, which consisted of black and deep purple lace-trimmed panties and bra that had see-through sides. Her body was nicely toned. There was just the right combination of muscle and curves. Her curves were more noticeable than Coriandare's. The younger sister was slimmer, didn't have as much muscle, but still had curves. She had gone through Starfire's wardrobe, quickly discovering that her younger sister only got the same clothes, about 24 times. On the drawers not far from her was a parchment, upon which was the marriage agreement between her race and the race of Gaia. She was going to write her name down soon, get Naruto to write his, and poor Starfire would be left alone, not able to get the one she wants. Smirking at her ambitious and cruel plan, she put the clothes she had borrowed from her dear sister, all the while not noticing the wind picking up. That wouldn't be such a bad thing, but the window was open, and the drawers was right in front of it. The document containing the marriage between the elementals and Tamaranians was blown from the drawer's top, and sent flying across the room, before mysteriously slotting just behind the bookshelf, with the dark-haired alien not spotting it. Blackfire, upon putting the clothes on, quickly disliked how much they showed of her flesh, but swiftly stopped her train of thought. This could help tease Naruto. I knew he was eyeing me up last night, but also, I might be able to get more information from Beast Boy if I show some leg. Smirking deviously, it quickly transformed into a shocked one when she noticed the contract wasn't where she placed it. Fearing the worst, she dove for the window, poking her head out, and quickly tried to spot the manuscript, but no avail. Tooting angrily, she pulled her head back in, straightened her hair out, and went to find Robin. He was the leader of this group, so she could try to get into his good graces, boot her sister out, and replace her. She had been showing him some of her alien martial arts, bragged about her superior fighting talent in front of her younger sister, before continuing to show how much better she was to the leader of the Titans. Walking with a purpose, she left her sister's overly pink room, and made haste to find the gang. Jump City, Titans Tower living/main ops room. Tuesday. Night had descended once more on the beautiful metropolis. Inside the living room of the tower, all the Titans except Starfire were lounging on the couch in the operations center watching the television. Raven meanwhile is reading a book, and Naruto was meditating in the same way he did at Mount Myaboku. Raven kept stealing glances at the blonde. A small smile graced her face upon seeing him do this. "Hello, friends!" exclaimed a voice behind them. The owner of the voice was just making her way into the room from the door at the back. Coriandar walks in, somehow balancing buckets of popcorn, candy, and stacks of DVDs. Said friends all turned to look at her, all except Naruto and Raven. "I was wondering if you all wanted to have a home movie night. I've brought some popcorn and non-cotton candies. Tell me, what sort of movie shall we watch?" "Action," stated Robin in his calm tone of voice. Beast Boy added his own comment to Starfire's question. "Comedy, sci-fi," suggested Cyborg as he raised a brow at the redhead. "Horror," replied Raven in her monotone voice, not even taking her eyes from her book. Caught off guard by the variation of the team, Starfire drops her load of goodies and slumps her shoulders. She was depressed, but quickly tried to make another suggestion. Perhaps a double feature? She might as well have nervous sweat dripping from her due to how anxious she was. "Forget the flicks, kids," announced a voice from behind the red-haired, a very familiar voice. Starfire turns to the source of the voice. His eyes widen when she sees Commandar standing there. It's not her standing there that gets Starfire's attention, but the fact that the older sister is dressed in one of her spare outfits, and has dispensed with the armor that she wore before. In essence, the two sisters look alike now. The only difference was their hair and eye color. That, and their personalities. The minute Blackfire entered the room, Naruto caught wind of her negative emotions, all of which were directed to the red-haired alien. Naruto frowned during his meditation. He had noticed that whenever the two was in the room, Commandar had generated many negative emotions. Jealousy, hate, and annoyance. To name a few, Naruto was going to get to the bottom of this, and he would have to do it quickly. Starfire didn't need this pain from her sister. So Naruto quickly thought of a plan. "We're going out," continued Blackfire as she walks past Coriandar with a steady stride. Puzzled at this development, the younger sister voiced her confusion. "We are?" Starfire quickly backpedaled on her question when she took into account of what her sister was wearing. "Are you wearing my clothes?" Waving her hand dismissively to Starfire, she answered her, before addressing the group bearing a knowing smile. "I borrowed one of your outfits. I heard about a party downtown. Cool crowd, hot music." The group, except Naruto and Raven, answer with cheers of agreement and praise. Raven, though, is still nose deep in her book, carefully reading away, in her own little world. Naruto skillfully glances at Blackfire through the TV, and when Kaminar looks at the necklace she had given Coriandar the day before, Naruto picks up a few different emotions from her. While some were the same, a few new ones were added. Glee, anticipation, and a sense of victory. Naruto then spotted a connection. He didn't express it, but he mentally sighed. He knew from Starfire that the two sisters didn't see eye to eye. Was this revenge on Blackfire's part? Yes, Coriandar had told Naruto everything about herself growing up, and her interactions with Kaminar. The older sister seemed to really dislike her, her family, and her race for reasons the younger sister didn't understand. And it's in a creepy rundown warehouse. Rang the voice of the dark Tamaranian, interrupting Naruto from his thoughts. He knew who that was directed to, and it seemed to have worked on Raven, as she puts the book to the side and begins to get up. Naruto knew it was now the time to stop this. Actually, Kaminar, started Naruto in a strong voice, as his senjutsu powers came online, and the traits of this maid became evident on his face and stance. That fight you wanted with me. Well, the Titans and Blackfire turned sharply to Naruto, who has risen from his meditative position to standing upright with his back turned to them. Raven, whom only just got up, looked at the blonde, and quickly noticed his Sage Mode power-up. Naruto turned around to face the dark-haired Tamaranian, his yellow orbs staring into her purple ones. His black Shikujo appeared in his left hand. His features were calm and collective. Blackfire at this moment was still in shock. Of course she would be surprised. She was being challenged by the strongest and most unknown fighter on the team according to her younger sister. While she did want to fight him, as she was a warrior by heart, plus she wanted to see how strong he was in comparison to her. But to be suddenly caught out like this was shock-inducing, but it did bring out a small, flirty grin. If he wanted to fight, she would bring it. Jump City, Titan's Island, Tuesday. The group had vacated the main room of the tower, are making their way out of Titan's HQ, and onto the island that supports it. The island is a decent size and located in the bay of Jump City. It has a path that leads from the edge of the island, where a launch pad was, to the tower in the middle. It was coated with grass and nature. Although it was lacking trees, it contained a few. The tower was very tall, and seemed very roomy in size. It had numerous large windows up and along the front and back. There was smaller windows on the sides of the tower. Some of the windows were lit up, showing a golden glow, while some was gray and not in use. The actual structure was a silver-colored metal, and it was very sturdy and resilient. Cyborg and Naruto had built the tower using the Gordanian ship and its glorious technologies. While Cyborg did the technical work, Naruto was the manpower behind the construction. Sure, the others helped, but none of them could keep up with Naruto and his armies of shadow clones. Surrounding Titan's tower was the ocean, and beyond that was the bustling metropolis of Jump City in its night form. Like when Naruto got it, it was a beauty, and it still is. There were lights dancing in the buildings and on the streets. The urban lights were beautiful in a strange way. If only the lights were off, and then we'd see a marvelous spectacle of light in the heavens. Are you sure you want to do this, Naruto? Questioned a worried Starfire in a hushed voice to the blonde. Naruto barely nodded. Yes, I have to do this. Before Starfire could ask him what he meant, Naruto walked forward ahead of the group, and used the wind to stop the Titans from moving ahead. Only Naruto and Blackfire would dance this night. The two stopped meters away from the audience, and faced each other. One with grace and calm, the other with confidence. The first to become unconscious, remember. Voiced Blackfire in the form of a statement, just to clarify the gravity of the situation for Naruto. She got a nod in return, as the blonde seemed to generate a blue aura that seemed to be warm, inviting, and loving. But you could notice power, pure power. A ballet of light and darkness seemed to exist in his aura alone. Perfect balance. Wondered Raven as she saw the light and darkness in Naruto's chakra aura. It was incredible to see such a balance, such stability. The fact that Naruto was in control of his power all the time, wondered if she could ever get to that state often, or maybe become balanced indefinitely. If only she was in control of her powers all the time. Blackfire's aura also seemed to appear in response. A sea of purple erupted in flame around her, much like Naruto's. Hers was also full of power, full of darkness. But at the center, there was a single light that hadn't been nurtured. A light that seemed lonely and sad. The wind stopped, the audience seemingly holding a collective breath, as a single leaf made its way between the two poised warriors. The two fighters kept a lock on each other, sizing the other one up as the leaf spun around a few times during its descent. The moment the leaf touched the floor, all hell broke loose. Blackfire and Naruto suddenly dashed towards each other, meeting in the middle above the fallen leaf. The two created a small shockwave upon colliding powers. The two exchanged powerful blows repeatedly, with both trying and failing to lay a harsh hit due to the other blocking or evading. Kamanar went on the offensive, not allowing the blonde a chance to attack. She quickly knees his stomach, forcing the blonde to recoil forward, before spin-kicking him up into the sky. She chases after him in a blur and is suddenly on him again, not allowing him to take a breather. Naruto bursts away from her, before jumping into the offensive seat, quickly forcing her to guard and weave from his attempts. It only goes so far, as she is hit by an invisible fist, or a strong wind. The hit forces her to fly back in a tumbling fashion, before she corrects herself. That hurt, but before she could recollect her thoughts, she isn't given a chance to rest, as Naruto drives a knee at her. She launches with her knee, with both their knees slamming together. Both wince slightly due to the force at which their knees connected. The two try punching each other, but grab the other's fists, forcing them to attack with their legs in an effort to force the other to let go. Their knees continue to smash each other until Blackfire yanks Naruto down with their connected hands, knees his chin, before kicking him across the face, sending him through the air. Naruto was sure his brain flew out of his head with how hard the kick was. With the audience, they were watching with rapt attention, seemingly shocked at the power of these two. "Dude, she's strong!" exclaimed Beast Boy with awe and borderline worship. "It seems Naruto is giving her a hard time," Cyborg commented with certainty. Robin was studying the fight with narrowed eyes. He was keeping his eyes on the two fighters, piecing their patterns, attacks, and their abilities, and comparing them to what he knows. Clearly his attention to detail wasn't letting him down, as he easily knew that the two were going all out, but he noticed Naruto was holding back. If that golden fist he used the previous night was an indication to another ability, he wanted to find out. Naruto stops his flight, his eyes lock on her quickly, so that he doesn't miss her in case she jumps him again. The two then jump at each other again, and continue their intense fist fight in the sky, both expertly dodging each other's attacks, before the two grab their fists again, and start head-butting each other. They winced every time their foreheads slammed against each other's. Blackfire slammed her head against Naruto's harder, causing him to lean back a bit, before she flew back, and drove her foot into his stomach. The kick was very powerful, knocking the wind out of Naruto, and sending him back quite far. Naruto hissed breathlessly from that attack. He managed to stop himself from going too far from her kick. She is much stronger than Starfire but not as accurate. Black Bolt. Naruto saw the Dark Tamaranian's take on the Star Bolt. If this was anything like Starfire's, then it would be incredibly strong and destructive. He wondered if these bursts of light lilac-colored ultraviolet energy would be as potent and accurate as Coriandar's. Why she has this color for her energy is unknown to him. It's most likely a trait unique to her. Then again, he doesn't know every Tamaranian. He also notices that her eyes were glowing, not unlike Starfire's, but Blackfire's eyes glowed a pale lilac, instead of a neon green. The war hero launches at her, expertly skirting around her energy attack, and getting into her personal space once again. This time he slams his fist across her face with an intense swing. Before she can even launch from his hit, her foot is grabbed, and she is flung down to earth by the blonde. She crashes into the ground with an earth-shattering thud. Dirt and soil is kicked up, forming a shroud around the new crater, preventing the team from looking at Blackfire. Starfire was worried about her sister. She was wanting to stop this fight desperately. She cared dearly for her sister. She always wanted to bond with Blackfire, even if the older sister had performed questionable acts towards her. The red-haired alien couldn't bring herself to hate her older sister, no matter how much she tried. Raven glanced at the worrying Coriandar. She could sense the alien female's distress. But the minute Blackfire stood up from the impact zone, the distress was lifted, but only slightly. She focused her eyes on the floating Naruto. She was in silent amazement at his powers and skill. Clearly his powers was beyond her level, or even higher, and he wasn't trying. Kamanar at this time had evidence of the fight on her skin and clothes. She had a few scratches, red marks and dirt marks. Upon floating back up again, Naruto had similar markings on his body, and his clothes were slightly damaged. She quickly then released a barrage of black bolts at him, catching him by surprise, as he didn't guard in time. The blonde was struck hard by that multiple energy volley, but he soon was surrounded by a smoke cloud due to the intensity and fierceness of the onslaught. She eventually stopped her attack, and kept her gaze on the cloud. The smoke stuck for a few moments before it was blown away from the inside. Naruto was still standing, but he was more worse for wear. His entire left arm was now shown to the world, as the bodysuit had been destroyed there. Some of his haori and pants were damaged also. He was also showing more grazes and damages on his skin. Naruto then quickly appears in front of her, knees her in the stomach, before bringing his hands down onto her back harshly in a sledgehammer-like swing. That again forces the dark-haired girl back down to the ground, only this time, she lands a cat, before standing up again, only to face Naruto, who was right in front of her. Wind style, Rasengan. Kamindar didn't even register his words, as pain struck her nerves. He had driven a violently swirling blue and white ball against her stomach. It felt like it was grinding into her. It really hurt. There was an explosion of varying shades of blue, as she was propelled backwards by the attack. She skidded against the ground roughly. She eventually stopped, and couldn't move for a few seconds. She carefully got back on her feet again, trying to regain her balance from her spiraling flight. She shook off the pain her stomach was feeling at the moment, as she addressed the person she was fighting against. Her eyes flared up again, burning brightly in power once more. Naruto at the same time released a breath he didn't know he was holding. Before he and Blackfire stalked towards each other, before they flew at each other once more, getting into another intense close-quarters scrap, dealing more damage to each other. The two quickly primed their energy attacks for a point-blank hit. Their two attacks slammed into each other's. Naruto's wind style, Rasengan, was battling against Blackfire's Black Bolt. The two attacks grew in size, pushing the two of them further apart as their contesting energy attacks expanded and became more wild and potent. The two of them started pushing into their attacks to try and overpower the other, but soon the colliding attacks exploded in a blinding flash of blue and purple light. A thick smoke screen shrouded the area. The sounds of panting passed through the light winds, confirming that the two were still alive, and this was further confirmed when the smoke cleared, revealing the two. However, both were kneeling down, had cuts in their skin, and more signs of damage. Both were bleeding from various wounds. Naruto then stands up once more, and he sighs loudly, causing Blackfire to narrow her eyes at him in wonder. She was curious as to why he sighed, but the answer came obvious when the blue-eyed elemental spoke tiredly. "You know, this fight has been fun, but I think it's time to end this dance, Blackfire," he declared, as his entire body changed in a sudden flash of flames. The flash quickly fades to reveal Naruto, but different from how they remember. His entire body is coated in yellowy golden, flickering flames. His hair has spiked up slightly, with the bangs over his forehead now pulled back to mimic horns, while the bangs that framed his face spiked up and moved to the sides to mimic fox ears. His outfit and clothing had become indistinguishable due to the chakra cloak, however his haori is still noticeable. The sage mode patterns that were around his eyes are now black, and have extended to his hair that now mimics fox ears, making them black also. He has black bars on his face in place of his whiskers. The Magatama patterns on his outfit are now black, and he has black patterns on his stomach, legs and arms, consisting of thick lines and spirals. A white circle is visible in his right palm. Another noticeable thing is his eyes, now being a more fiery orange, but still having the toad pupil, still showing that his sage mode was active. The form screamed power also. Clearly the others were surprised and shocked at his form. Raven's eyes were wide at this form. The chakra he putting out was intense, potent, deadly, but so calming, peaceful, and loving. It was a strange contradiction. It felt similar to her white raven state, but also felt different at the same time. Her emoticlones were trying to figure out what this form was. She also had a small blush on her ash-colored skin. Luckily nobody noticed. Beast Boy was sniffing the air. Clearly he was having problems telling it was Naruto using his scent. But like Raven, his eyes are as wide as plates. Cyborg was in a state of overload, trying to process what he was seeing. Robin's eyes were also wide, and he was wondering why Naruto hid this from the team. This was important information. Starfire had clasped her hands, and was staring at Naruto like he was an angel. She was staring in admiration and a strange sense of lust also. Blackfire was also wide-eyed, and hardly containing her shock as a gasp escaped her lips. She wasn't expecting this from him. She knew he was powerful, but to become a flaming entity was something new to her. The power he was generating was also making her flustered. Now, Commoner, I'm giving you this one chance to surrender. This isn't my most powerful power-up, but it's on a whole other level to what you faced before. If you don't stop, I will end this in one move. He told her truthfully with a small frown. Blackfire stands up and glares at him with intense glowing eyes. She wasn't backing down. She didn't want people to look down on her like that. She noticed that he seemed to have no marks on his skin from the fight either. What the hell? Did they heal when he transformed into this golden warrior? Naruto sighed at her stubbornness, but he was proud at her for not backing down. Clearly she was a formidable fighter. The next 5 seconds would shatter anyone's thoughts on how the fight would go. Naruto disappeared in a golden streak, and Blackfire was suddenly launched into air at the same moment. She was then punched back again, before being punched again in another direction, before she realized she had become a ping-pong ball for the golden blur, and she was continuously battered around, not given a moment's rest. She knew the fight was over, and she was not the victor. She was then punched hard in the back, a punch that ended the confrontation, as she was blasted into the ground. Blackfire was still awake, but she wouldn't move. She groaned out in pain as she saw golden feet land next to her. She rolled over to look at the person who had defeated her. He looks at her sadly, before kneeling down next to her. Commonar's eyes had stopped glowing by this point, and she was just gazing at him. She was wondering why he was doing this. What did he have to gain? It hurts, doesn't it? Pain of being alone, the feeling of being hated by everyone, he stated sadly, as he gazed at her. Blackfire keeps her eyes on his. Her eyes widen barely at his words. The audience also listens in on their conversation. I was hated too, you know, when I was born. A demon, the 9-tailed fox, attacked my village and killed many people, my parents included. The final act of my parents was to seal the cube into me. He sighed softly, looking away from her, not looking at the shocked reactions of the Titans or Blackfire. Naruto continued. The village saw me as the demon fox and discriminated me, attacked me, trying to crush what spirit I had left from their mental attacks. It wasn't until later on I was able to make friends. It took even longer for the village to see me as me, not as the QB. I was seen as a cursed child. I was the object of their hate. It also didn't help that I had whiskers on my cheeks. Well, I still have whiskers on my cheeks. The black-haired Tamaranian sighed lightly. Taking in his words, she could see where he was going, so she might as well indulge him. I was always the most talented, the most experienced combatant, and I'm the oldest child. Booty wasn't favored for a number of reasons. Starfire was always kinder, and so was Wildfire. Plus I am seen as a bastard child simply because of my appearance. Most Tamaranians have red hair and green eyes. I do not, so I was disliked for my difference. I was seen as unworthy for the throne, and too impure to be a Tamaranian. She looked away to the sky above, releasing a sigh. She didn't know why she was telling him this, but a part of her was glad she could get it off of her chest. I was treated like a plague by my people, like I was a bad omen. I became bitter, jealous, and I became angry at my family, my race, me planet. I wanted revenge. They tore me apart, and I had tried to pull myself together only to fail. Naruto looked at the dark Tamaranian with compassionate eyes. He truly felt for her. He could understand her, her reasoning behind her fall. He and others like him had lived similar lives. You're not evil, Blackfire. You're not a bad person. Yes, you made mistakes. You sold out your people, and you traded your sister to the Gordanians to become a slave. We all make mistakes. I've made my fair share of mistakes, and no doubt I will keep making errors. The reason I'm talking to you because I know you planned something. Blackfire looked at him in shock. Never before had someone said that to her. But also he was well informed. Clearly her little sister told him about what had happened. But how the hell did the blonde know what she had planned? Could he read her mind? She didn't tell anybody, nor did she write it down. How did you know I had something planned? I can sense emotions when you were around, Star. I had picked up jealousy, hate, annoyance, and a few other negative emotions from you being directed to her. Then when you walked into the ops room not long ago, I picked up a few more. A strange twisted pleasure, expectancy, and a sense of victory. But when I noticed you were in fact glancing at the necklace, I knew that you had done something. I had stolen it. I had taken the Centauri moon diamond and planted it on Starfire so that she would be taken away, while at the same time, I would prove how much better I am, and take her place on the team," explained Blackfire as she felt the glares of the Titans hit her. All of them were angry, but Starfire was shattered. Naruto, however, was looking at her sadly, before sighing. "Blackfire's sister, she never wanted this to happen. Hell, Starfire loves you, R. No matter what you did to her, she just wanted to be strong like you. You were her role model. You had someone who loved you. Heck, she still loves you. You were too deep in darkness to see it." "What?" choked out the dark-haired female, as she looked at Naruto with a shocked expression. She was shocked that her sister still loved her, despite all the evil she had caused, all the pain she had dealt her. Starfire still cared for her. "It's true, you wouldn't believe how happy she was talking to you through your messages. Then when you arrived, she was so bouncy, she couldn't stop talking about you in a positive light. Like I said, you couldn't see it because the light you have has been surrounded in the darkness of the hate you had absorbed by your race when they picked on you. You have someone who cares deeply for you. If you only open up, you shall see it, and heck, you might get more friends, and much more." Blackfire could hear the truth in his voice. He was honest to her from the second he spoke. She looked over to her dear sister, and saw her jade eyes shining with hope and love. The love the blonde spoke about was true. Starfire loved her. She had been blind. She shed a tear as she looked back to Naruto, the one talking her out of her darkness. She heard footsteps approach from the side, and saw Starfire standing near her. "How can I stop this? How can I get forgiveness? How do I change everything I had done?" Naruto sighed, but smiled lightly at her. "One day others will try to convince you that they have forgiven you for your crimes. In truth, you will never forgive yourself. Accept that fact that you have killed, done bad, and hurt many people. That cannot be changed. You can do good, fight for others, save many people, try to outdo the darkness with light. But both light and darkness exist. I have darkness, and I have accepted it. I live in harmony with light and darkness. Starfire also has darkness. Everyone has light and darkness in them. But Blackfire, if you want to change, you need to do it now. Go on your journey, find redemption, find absolution. The voice of others will guide you on your path to forgiveness. I and Starfire know you can be a great person." Starfire smiled at her sister when her Blackfire nodded her head with a light smile. Naruto placed a hand on Blackfire's stomach and healed her with his powers. It took a moment, but the dark Tamaranian was fully healed and was able to stand up. Naruto stayed in his powered-up form, but only because a sound caught his ear. It was the sound of a ship. A large, dark vessel with silver metal patterns and flashing orange and red lights landed near the island. It's a very advanced and menacing, but also has a strange beauty about it. The group waits patiently as a door opens on the underside of it, and stairs emerge from the starship. The Titans all get ready to fight, but Naruto and Blackfire don't brace for a fight. Blackfire was slightly nervous, but Naruto reassured her that everything would be alright. Starfire had also given the necklace to the blonde so he can sort this out. She wasn't doubting the rest of the team, but clearly Naruto had a way with words, plus, he may have just changed Blackfire, for the better. Coming down the ramp are two tall, broad-shouldered aliens. They are wearing technological suits that resemble humanoid crabs. The two have glowing, lemon-yellow, narrow eyes. The armor is mostly colored red with dark silver segments and black patterns. The leading one has an extended right arm that seems to contain energy whips of some description. The trailing visitor speaks in a synthetic voice that has an undertone of organic mixed with it. He seems to hold a badge to the group that bears a unique symbol. "We are Centauri Police. We are from the Grand Centauri Empire. We've come here for the Tamaranian girl, Blackfire of Tamarin," explained the leading officer as he points to the girl in question. "She's committed high crimes throughout the entire Centauri system." Naruto shows them the Centauri Moon Diamond necklace. This gains the attention of the two traveling policemen. "The Queen's personal Centauri Moon Diamond. I see you've procured it, Elemental," the leading officer comments, as he looks at the Elemental before him. He knows the race very well. "I see you know of my race, officer. However, I want to bargain with you regarding Blackfire." The team looked at Naruto with mixed expressions, but mostly shock. Robin, though, wasn't as happy. He would need to talk to Naruto regarding this whole event. "What do you offer? Bear in mind that if our Empress doesn't agree with this, we will return for the girl," questioned the Centauri officer on the right, before telling him what would happen if the Queen didn't agree to the exchange. The two aliens noticed Naruto hold the gem tightly for a strange reason. He also rubbed it, almost as if he was studying it. Naruto wordlessly, and without moving, created 7 shadow clones, all of which exploded in smoke, and all of them were in his base form. Naruto then handed the necklace to the Centauri police. A red flame erupted in his left hand, while a blue flame appeared similarly in his right palm. The group honestly didn't know what Naruto was doing, but the show of power was alarming the hooded female as she studied it. "What is that?" Yin Yang release, creation of all things technique, spoke the flaming warrior as he seemed to create large cubes of Centauri moon diamond in the hands of the Naruto clones. The others were dumbstruck, the Titans, Blackfire, and the Centauri police. All were staring at the objects that was just created out of thin air. It just wasn't possible. But when the officers took closer examinations of the newly created blocks, they confirmed that the cubes were authentic. "Whoa, dude, what the heck was that?" exclaimed BB in shock, as he marveled at the power the blonde used. Naruto panted, as his chakra cloak and sage mode wore off and dissipated, leaving him in his base form. "That still takes up too much chakra," the blonde muttered before addressing Beast Boy's question. "That was the creation of all things technique. To simplify it, it allows the user to create anything that they can dream of using the Yin chakra to create the object from nothingness. While using the Yang chakra of it, I can breathe life into what I create. No more questions, please. I need to rest from the fight and that." The team would have to wait on their answers. They would grill him later for those though. Well, mostly Robin would demand answers from him. The officers collected the blocks and necklace before leaving for their ship. Moments later, the ship took off and returned to the dark night of the heavens. Jump City, Titan's Tower rooftop, Tuesday. A number of hours had passed since that whole event took place. It was a beautiful sunny day, no clouds in the sky, the crescent moon hanging the sky, and sun high in the heavens also. Starfire, Blackfire, and Naruto Our stood on the roof of the tower, with Blackfire wearing her old clothes. The roof of the tower has a helipad in the middle. Posts are on 2 opposite sides of the helipad with netting wrapped around one of them. Some stairs can be seen on the right side of the tower leading into it. "Are you sure you want to go alone, sister?" "As much as I want to stay here, I feel I need to go on my path to find a way to deal with the terrible deeds I have done. If I want to start this new life, I need to figure out my own redemption." "Surely you can understand, sister?" replies Blackfire as she looks her sister in the eyes without any negative emotions for the first time in years. The dark Tamaranian looked over at Naruto, who nodded and smiled at her. She could tell he didn't want her to go as well, but he understood why she needed to do this. Starfire hugged her sister and cried. The poor redhead only just got her sister back. She didn't want to lose her again. Blackfire hugged her back softly and smiled. "Don't cry, Coriandara, I won't leave you, I promise. I just need to sort my past out, if I want to sort out my future as a hero alongside you." Starfire pulled away from her hug and looked at her sister. Kaminar still had a flirty, confident grin, but it didn't have that hint of malice in it anymore. There was darkness there, but it was not as noticeable as it once was. Blackfire smiled at her younger sister, before turning her attention to the blonde, who raised a brow in response. "I ought to thank you. I want to repay you for what you've done for me, Naruto." But Naruto frowned at her, and he was about to tell her that she didn't need to repay him, but she continued her statement to him. "I do wish to fight you again, only next time, both of us will be heroes, and I will win," she stated with determination, and with fire in her eyes. Naruto and Starfire was wide-eyed at her bold declaration. Clearly she was still as competitive as usual, but that wasn't a bad thing. The blonde hero nodded and smiled at her with his handsome, foxy smile. One that caused both girls to blush, blushes that he didn't notice. The two sisters though noticed the blushes on the other and glared at each other with lightning between their eyes. Blackfire shook her head and looked at the sky. "I think it's time you two, Naruto, take care of my sister while I'm gone." She turns around to face the sea, before looking back at Starfire over her shoulder. "Sister dear, please take care of Naruto. I will be back when I'm ready, and I do want to fight the two of you, remember that," she declares as she takes off. She waves at them as she bolts across the sea and into the horizon. Naruto and Starfire remain on the rooftop looking in the direction the older Tamaranian went in. The duo were smiling and stood for some time. Naruto began walking away, but he was stopped by Starfire, who had placed her soft hand on his shoulder. He turned around to face her with a look of wonder. Naruto, I was wondering if you want to hang out with me? She asked with nervousness, as she tried to keep her jade eyes on his cerulean orbs. The war hero's facial features softened. He thought for a bit, before nodding. Sure, I would like to go on a date with you. To bond with you more, Starfire. He replied in a teasing manner, and also sang the syllables to her name playfully. She was red-faced with his response, but smiled all the same. She hugged him tightly, causing him to gasp, before hugging her in return. Unknown location, Tuesday. The entity that had been at the pier watching Naruto was now in a spacious room. One wall looked as if it had been blown inward, scattering debris across the chamber. In the office there was a thick, large table towards the back wall. Bookshelves are lined next to the opening in the wall, which then lead up to the far wall. In the middle of the room was a small pool table, 2 couches, a large TV that hung from the ceiling, and a small table with some alcohol on it. The dark-clothed stalker was stood between the pool table and the large wooden table at the back. He was holding a katana that was very unique. It had a long bronze hilt with black grips. It had an oval bronze guard. The blade itself was extraordinary. While it was the traditional katana style, a curved, slender, single-edged blade. The color of the blade was what made it special. The blade was black, and had bizarre, faint markings on the blade. Another thing to note is that there is blood splattered around the room and numerous dead bodies are planted about the place. Only one person is alive, but that person is cowering in front of the assassin. The man is wearing a black suit. He also has black hair and black eyes. The male also seems very pale in skin complexion, and has a small stubble. Blood stains his outfit and head. He is trembling. He has every right to be. This unknown assassin just broke into his fortress for a compound, killed all the 150 guards he had acquired to protect him, and the warrior plowed his way through all of them, without taking a scratch. Hell, he saw one bullet bend around him, as if an invisible barrier was round his form. Please don't kill me, the frightened man pleaded. I'll give you anything, he continued, before seeing the shadow warrior turn his blade to him, allowing the person to see the fingers of the left hand. They looked human in shape, but had one unique distinction. They were mechanical. I know who you are. The sickening sound of blade connecting and slicing through flesh echoed throughout the room. The man didn't even scream in pain, but the expression of his told everything about his sudden demise. The man wasn't even whole anymore, but rather chunks of meat scattered across the table and floor, and blood sprayed across 3 walls and the ceiling. Only half of his face remained, and the look of terror on the dead man's face would be never forgotten by the first person to look upon it after this entity left. Yes, I, the Night Fox, have returned, spoke the now identified stalker of Naruto Uzumaki. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video, guys. Let me know in the comment section how was the story, and also don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.